One man is being victimized by our own government. One man whom they fear, yet whom millions love. One man who is willing to take the poison arrows of lawfare. One man whose voice has been taken away by a corrupt judge operating in a corrupt system. One man who has been ridiculed and insulted. One man who refused to back down. One man who refused to back down. One man who refused to back down. One man who stands between us and them. One man that wants to see America protected again. One man who wants to see America prosper again. One man who understands that a man is a man and a woman is a woman. One man who understands and protects the blessing of life. One man who wants to restore American exceptionalism. One man who once again wants to make America that shining city on a hill for all to see. A place where all the people of the world glowingly set their eyes upon. America. One man who unashamedly wants to make America great again. That one man is Donald Trump.
This is Fanfare with Barry Cunningham.
All right, so welcome to the, what is today? Today's Tuesday edition of the early show. So much going on. I mean, I am surprised, but shouldn't be surprised at the amount of news that breaks in the Trump administration on a daily basis. And today's just insane. So we had Pam Bondi and Kash Patel talking about their big bust of 200 child you-know-whaters. I can't say the word here. We've got Scott Bessent going up against the Democrats in a hearing. Then we had Kristi Noem talking about things, and she was having her press conference down in front of J.B. Pritzker's house, basically. And then at 1 o'clock, we've got Caroline Leavitt, who's going to have a press conference. And then at 2 or 2:30, Kash Patel has got to testify in front of Congress. So settle in. Looks like we're going to be here probably for quite some time. First and foremost, I want to show you what happened at Pam Bondi's press conference. And I use the air quotes for one big reason. It wasn't really a press conference. It was called a press conference. They decided to put it out as a press conference, but it was a Joe Biden style press conference, meaning we're going to come out, we're going to say a few words, and then we're going to leave. And I'm glad I didn't go live at 10:45 because I'd have been pissed off if I had got everything ready, got everything set, and turned it on and listened to her talk for 7 minutes. Now here's what's going to happen. You're gonna watch this video. And we're gonna talk about what she says, and of course it deserves some applause. But those of you who are in law enforcement, Maximus, one of the guys in the chat who's always here, it might leave some of you with, the RCA dog look, like, something just doesn't seem right. I'm not gonna tell you what until after you heard it yourself. And I want you to listen to what she says. And again, here's my qualifying statement. I have been a Pam Bondi supporter since she was down here in the state of Florida. I have been a Kash Patel supporter. I've been a Dan Bongino supporter. But at this point, I don't know what the hell's going on. So I'm not going to pass judgment negatively on any of them. I'm just going to say, I don't know what the hell's going on. So I have questions. And questions are different than, denigrations. I'm not casting aspersions on any of them. I do have a volume of questions. And I think in doing this type of a show, it is my job, if you want to say, my objective, to give you information that causes you not to be a crazy loyalist, just take whatever for granted, but an objective person who looks at things and says, okay, and put yourself as if you were in the press room, whether it be in the White House or in front of Kash Patel or Pam Bondi. If you could raise your hand, what would you ask? There's nothing wrong with that. When she's done talking, I'm going to tell you what my question is. And it was funny, just before I went on, which is why I was a little bit late, Ashley said, did you see this or this? And I'm like, I ain't even got to tell you. I mean, you don't have to tell me. I probably already know what you saw. And she goes, tell me. And I told her what I was thinking. She goes, oh my God, that's what people are saying. And I'm like, yeah. So, without further ado, I want you to listen to this press conference. Again, it's not long because it's not a press conference. So, take a listen.
Good morning. Thank you all for being here. We have a busy day here at the Department of Justice, as I'm sure a lot of you have seen already. Today, we are proud to announce the results of the FBI's Operation Restore Justice initiative. This historic, unprecedented, nationwide operation led to the arrest of 205 child sex predators. Unbelievable. In just 5 days. This was an incredible operation done in conjunction with the FBI and our prosecutors. Children and their families now have a chance to heal. These are online predators. Think about this. 115 victims, children. In 5 days, we were able to help. This kind of work takes a toll on the FBI agents and the prosecutors who are doing this every single day. They are working tirelessly online, dealing with the dregs of our society, the worst of the worst, the people that hide behind a computer and target our young children every single day. Our law enforcement, our prosecutors sit there and deal with this every day to keep these monsters off the street. Director Patel and I, almost daily in our meetings, talk about these cases and what it does to our officers and our prosecutors, but also how many lives are being saved and how many children are being helped by this. Director Patel is going to get into the specific cases with you in a minute, but what I will tell you is these depraved human beings, if convicted, will face the maximum penalty in prison, some life. We will find you, we will arrest you, and we will charge you. If you are online targeting a child, you will not escape us. The FBI and the Department of Justice will come after you, and we will prosecute you. Parents, you have to know, this is so serious. Your child has no right to privacy on the internet. None. You have to monitor what your kids are doing, whether they're playing games on the internet, on social media, any other websites that children, teenagers frequent, an online predator can find them. I always say it's from instant message to instant nightmare. Parents, they're talking to your kids like they're other children, and they're not. They're predators. They pose as children. They get them sometimes to post explicit pictures of themselves after they talk to them. And then in some cases, they even try to blackmail the children. The suicide rate among teens ages 14 to 17 has increased as a result of this as well, because teens are taken advantage of and they're manipulated online by child predators. So all of you being here today and covering this is so important, because parents need to know. You've got to talk to your kids. They think they're talking to other children, but most of the time they're not. Director Patel, thank you.
First and foremost, to the Department of Justice under General Bondi's leadership and all its components, because of your courage, we are here today protecting our most vulnerable, our children. Thank you, General Bondi. Thank you to so many of your colleagues here today that do this work tirelessly day in and day out and never get a moment's thanks. We should acknowledge all of them today. As the FBI director, I'm humbled to lead some of the bravest men and women in law enforcement, and I want to thank our 55 field offices, our 90-plus United States Attorney's offices, our CIOS section, our CRIM division here at the Department of Justice, and our field offices throughout the country with lawyers and prosecutors and agents working tirelessly on some of the harshest criminality we've ever seen. They don't take breaks because our children deserve a free and open society. I also want to just take a moment to emphasize the priority of this Department of Justice and this FBI. Our children. If you harm our children, you will be given no sanctuary. There is no place we will not come to hunt you down. There is no place we will not look for you. And there is no cage we will not put you in should you do harm to our children. The prioritization of this administration and General Bondi has made it abundantly clear to child predators, you will be hunted down and you will be prosecuted. And that is a refreshing thing to hear for the men and women who do this work tirelessly. And it's also an acknowledgement of the safety that we look forward to bringing America. As the Attorney General mentioned, there are a couple of cases worth highlighting. People in places of public trust have violated not only the law, but that public trust, to include teachers, law enforcement personnel, and other professionals that we look to safeguard our children have not only violated the law, but violated the trust. In Minneapolis, defendant Jeremy Francis Plonsky, a Minneapolis state trooper and former Army reservist, was arrested for producing child sexual abuse material while in uniform. Not anymore. In Norfolk, Virginia, defendant Jose Alexis Valdez Sosa, an illegal immigrant from Mexico, again, allegedly arrested for transporting a minor across state lines. No more. Another example, right here in Washington, D.C., in the Metropolitan Police Department, Officer Linwood Barnhill, a former already convicted sex offender, was arrested again for exploiting more victims, more children, while on supervised release. These are just three examples that show you the extent and the depravity of these horrific crimes. And we need to team up together with the American public to find the rest. I want to give a special thanks to the National Center for Missing and Exploited Children for the tireless work they do in partnering with us. And again, I want to thank the Department of Justice and all these folks here. And Pam, thank you for never wavering to defend our children.
Thank you. Thank you, Director Patel. And this ranges from, we have cases from California to New York to Florida, our entire country. And just in 1 week, again, 115 victims we have. 205 offenders have been charged in 1 week, thanks to the FBI. So think what's happening throughout this country. Children are being...
I want you to remember what she just said. 200 perps arrested, 100 plus kids rescued in 5 days. Let that sink in for a second. 200 bad guys and 115 kids rescued in 5 days. We'll continue.
Taken advantage of, and we have to stop it. Thank you for covering this very important topic today. Thank you.
Will you guys take a few questions? This is a really important topic. It's a press conference.
No, thank you.
So the press is like, hey, this is important. Can we take some questions? No? Oh. You called a press conference. I remember myself making fun of Joe Biden, who would toddle off after making a statement without saying a word or talking to the press. And 100+ days in, now all of a sudden, we're seeing the exact same thing. If you're objective and you're honest, some things that she said right there, both of them, should have caused you a little bit like, what? What? Yeah. Now, first and foremost, let's talk about the good stuff. Anytime you can get these scumbags off the street is a good day. Anytime you can save kids who are being subjected to this stuff is a great day. It's even better than just catching the bad guys. It's a great day that you've liberated these kids. Nobody should have any problem with that. In fact, we all should applaud. We all should applaud those efforts that they have taken these bad guys, these scum, off of the streets and put them where they need to be, and also have rescued kids. So I'm saying this twice because I don't want anybody in the chat go, well, Barry, she just saved 115 kids and they just took down 200 guys. Well, I think they're all guys. No, I have no problem with that. In fact, as I just played, I applaud that. We need to see more of these scumbags taken off the street, and the ones in Congress as well. But something about that, my spidey senses didn't seem to catch on. And I'm thinking, what exactly is it that didn't set well with me? Knowing so many police officers, having a brother who is a lieutenant colonel in the Army, something didn't seem quite right. And so when Ashley called me, she goes, have you seen what people are saying? And I'm like, yeah, I didn't see it, but I pretty much know what they might be saying, because anybody with an objective mind would be saying the same thing. And here's what I thought. So you're telling me you put together an operation that you took down 200 perps across the country, saved 100 kids in 5 days? You mobilized this entire thing in 5 days? Really? How the hell did you do that? How did you mobilize all these different operations? Because remember, they just didn't say one day, all right, let's go pick all these guys up. They just weren't sitting around waiting for the arrest warrants to show up. There had to have been surveillance and evidentiary request and looking at different things and finding out what these guys are looking at and knowing who they are and where they are and how often they do it, because in order to arrest them, you want to make sure you have a pretty good case. So it wasn't like you said, all right, hey, Kash, Danny, let's go ahead and arrest like 200 perps here. Let's go get 200. No, it doesn't work that way. You have to have some investigatory things going on in the background. And to take down a network this big of 200 different perps across the country, that didn't happen in 5 days. It's impossible. So what are we looking at here? What the hell is going on? Again, just to say it for the people who don't hear me in the chat, I applaud taking down scumbags, and I am so happy that these kids have been liberated from whatever they have been subjected to. But that's not the issue here. The issue here, to me, is what in the hell are we watching? And if you're objective, you will see the same thing. So Kash Patel, let me just show you. Kash Patel posted this, or actually this is what it was. He reposted it. AG and Kash say over 200 alleged predators have been arrested in the past week. If you harm children, great. Love it. Love it. Dan Bongino pretty much says this. You may not always see it immediately, but this is the kind of work happening in the background. Our teams quietly targeted, found, and arrested over 200 people in a week. That's where my spidey senses went. Wait a second, what? Our teams quietly targeted, found, and arrested 200 people across the country in a week. Just saying. So, there are some people who have some questions. Those you guys know, Kyle Seraphin and others who are out there going, no, you're just putting the stamp on somebody else's work. And so you renamed Operation Cross Country, which happens annually. That is the most FBI thing I've ever heard. Rename, claim, credit, brag to everyone. I didn't know anything about that until Ashley told me. I just looked at it and went, how is this happening in 5 days? And why is it that all of a sudden in these 5 days you had to move this fast to get all these people arrested? If you knew where they were and everything else, why the urgency? Of course you want to save the kids, but somebody here has a statement. It says James O'Keefe bombshell is scheduled to drop today. Today. The same day she just announced that. Today, the coincidence of them dropping this stuff about them arresting 200 pedos is on the same day that James O'Keefe said, I'm going to be showing you guys something. And it says here, bombshell is supposed to expose Epstein, Pam Bondi, and Pfizer. I think she is complicit, and it's hard to believe what she says. I can't say that. I don't know that she's complicit. I don't know what's going on. But the suddenness and the timing should make the hair on the back of your neck go, whoa, what in the hell's going on here? What? Stop, pump the brakes, and think for yourself. What is going on? So, with that, don't know if you guys have had a chance to look at this, because you guys, all the stuff about Laura Loomer, all the stuff that's being said, and there's just some weird things going on. Listen to this.
I'm going dark. I'm not suicidal. Pray for me. This one scares me, guys.
I text messaged him that night and said, please reach out to me. The next day he called me and said, Alex, you're the only person I'm telling you this. I'm telling you this for my safety. And then he laid some incredibly disturbing information on me. Now, most of you know I don't shy away from covering dangerous information. But it doesn't mean I still don't have my adrenaline racing a little bit with all the different potential developments that are going to come out of what is about to be released. But in the final equation, we're about to review piece by piece the short cryptic trailer and the images that are there. I have a responsibility to tell the truth and to expose and to work with those exposing bad deeds, corruption, you name it, regardless of who is involved in it. I mean, quite frankly, my parents are great people, some of the most moral people I know, but if I found out my dad or my mother was doing something bad, I would try to stop it. And if they were hurting innocent people, I would expose it. And of course, that's hypothetical. My parents are great people, so I don't have to deal with that issue. Without revealing too much, because James asked me not to reveal the specific details he gave me, just to let folks know this is very serious. And he told me some of the information so I would know how serious it was. I was like, yeah, that is very, very serious. He didn't tell me a ton of information, but what he did tell me was very, very thought-provoking, to say the least. And then now that I've seen this little short trailer, it gives me a much more specific idea about what is about to be released. And James would not tell me specifically who in the Trump administration that this information was connected to. He would just say it was not Trump, thank God, or his family. And so then, obviously, I went on air after I talked to him that morning on Friday, and said, hey, I talked to James. He's got 2 big stories breaking. He actually told me about a third that's huge as well, but these others are so big, it's overshadowed. And I just simply said, listen, he's not being dramatic with the video you just saw earlier where you said, hey, I'm going into hiding. This is dangerous stuff. And people think of dramatic things like somebody saying, hey, I'm going into hiding, this is really dangerous, please pray for me, as, oh, that's dramatic. Well, stuff in TV and entertainment and fiction where people pose as something being dramatic, that's acting. But when you're a real man in the arena or a woman in the arena doing incredibly dangerous investigative journalism like he's done, I mean, I think we're really taking for granted because so many people are like, oh, this is dramatic. Oh, this is a drama queen. Oh, yeah, right. It's going to be so huge. When he's got a track record more than anybody of breaking dangerous bombshells that have been game changers. I mean, I start thinking about the attempted Pentagon coups and the Pfizer head of mRNA admitting that they're creating viruses in a lab to release new variants to make billions of dollars off their so-called vaccines. I mean, hundreds of giant stories, dozens of total game changers or more that this guy and his intrepid crew have broken. So I will say that you definitely want to pay attention to what he is going to be releasing tomorrow. And again, this affects one of the biggest story of the two, the Trump administration. And he would not tell me who in the Trump administration was implicated. But then I made some phone calls, not giving up anything that he'd told me or anything he'd said, but just saying in general, have you heard what this pertains to? And multiple sources said, yeah, Pam Bondi.
I try to preface things as much as possible. And for some reason, it just doesn't sink in. I said, I don't have the answer. I said, I have nothing to base it on other than what other people are saying, and that we should see what's going on and ask questions. Question everything. If I get to the point where I'm just going to accept everything as fact, I'm never doing this. I'm unplugging and I'm going to go just keep buying more houses. I can never be that person who is just going to accept everything that I hear. So I preface that, and I see comments like this. Great, so you guys are undermining Pam Bondi? Undermining? What are you talking about? There is information out there that people are discerning, and I'm just giving you the information. Think of it as a buffet. If you don't want the General Tso, go eat the honey chicken, whatever you want. But there's never going to be a time where I'm just going to be a puppeteer and just spew what I'm told. There's always going to be a story behind the story. And right now, there's a potential huge story brewing. If you think it's undermining to question things, you're in the wrong place. I'm sorry to say that. I am never going to be a parrot. I will question President Trump if he says something just doesn't seem to make sense. Thankfully, as of this point, nope, I like what the man says. But there are people around him who say some crazy stuff. Now, I've also said, and 100 times, I supported Pam Bondi. I questioned Pam Bondi. I thought she was great here in Florida. And I believed in Dan Bongino and Kash Patel. But things change. Information changes things. Data changes things. If you choose to just stay in one spot and never change it as though it's some sort of rule you want to live by, that's up to you. I've learned enough in my life. Things change. Relationships change. Divorce happens. Of course, you put the ring on somebody's finger, you say, I love them, and then maybe it doesn't work out. And what you people, some of you people are saying, oh, I can't believe you're turning your back on. Nobody's turning anybody's back. I have questions. And none of you have the answer. That's just it. So we should all have questions. I've talked to people in law enforcement who say this could not have happened in 5 days. I have people making comments, oh, they've been working around the clock. Okay, you don't want to believe anything. I don't believe it. I have a question. If my question can't be asked, then we're in trouble. If people in the chat can't have questions without other people feeling they turn their back or they're denigrating or is this undermining the different terms, no, that's propaganda. We should never, ever, ever do anything to the point where we feel that whatever is spoon-fed to us in the media is what we absolutely have to believe. Yeah. Why would you have to believe everything you hear in the media? In fact, to me, everything in the media is designed for you to question. So now I'm going to give you another question. You saw Pam Bondi talk. You heard Alex Jones. There's obviously something going on in the background of what we don't know. And then it appears now, 2 minutes before the press conference was supposed to happen, the press conference got canceled. So all of you are here, and you're looking at this, and you were prepared to hear the press conference, and I showed you what Pam Bondi said and Kash Patel said, and I showed you what Alex Jones says. Is it all related? I have no idea. But they're all pieces to a puzzle here. Why would 2 minutes before the press conference, unless she fell ill, unless she was sick, why is the press conference canceled? Is there no deputy press director who can come up? I'm sure the people in the audience, the press, whoever they are, they suck, but they're ready to ask some questions, and undoubtedly they were going to get a lot of questions about what Pam Bondi just said. So, in that regard, put it all together. Does it mean anything? Is it a Picasso? Is it a nasty cake? Does it taste like crap? I don't know. But I think as adults, as thinking, functioning adults that aren't Democrats, that aren't libtards, you should have some questions, and questions are okay. Questions are definitely okay for that. And I'm looking at here, more than likely, and we need to pray. Something's going on. I've been listening to Whitney Webb. She explains a lot of what's going on. I don't know who Whitney Webb is. They didn't say this took 5 days. They said the arrest happened over 5 days. How did it happen? So what you're surmising is, with everything to work on, they put this massive investigation in place in the last 75 days and were able to get all kinds of warrants, grand jury testimonies, all kinds of things that may have been needed to bring these bad guys to heel. And they did it while doing all this other stuff. See, it would have been really, really simple for none of you or me to have these questions. Because if she had stood at the microphone for more than 5 minutes, people could have said, hey, how long's this investigation been going on? What other agencies were involved? How did you target these people? What kind of intelligence did you have to know that these people were doing this? What websites were they? You have those answers? Nope. And so you're assuming, hey, Barry, she didn't say it took 5 days. She said the arrest happened over 5 days. Really? I can't push like this because people get upset. And all I'm saying, you can believe whatever you'd like to believe. There's something awry here. That's all I'm going to have to say. So we were prepared to have this press conference at 1 o'clock. I haven't seen, Ashley or SV, did you see an official announcement, or is it just something that's going around? It says, they said they received word that the White House press briefing is canceled. So Not really sure why, but it's canceled. Luckily, I have a little bit more stuff I can go over before we get to Kash Patel at 2:45. But I just want to preface this by saying that I'm just not that kind of person that takes everything at carte blanche. There's only like one aspect of my life that I take at carte blanche and never question. And that's math. 2 + 2 is 4. Why? I have no idea. We were taught 2 + 2 is 4. 4 + 4 is 8. Why? What's a 4? I don't know. Math there's something about numbers that has always intrigued me because I couldn't ask a question about it. How is 2 + 8 10? It is what it is. There's no question. When you're taught, a lot of people have a problem with math because of that. They can't get any reasonable expectation or answers. When the teacher says, this is this, I'm like, why? And the teacher can't tell you. That's just math. That's how math works. Other than that, question everything. You would think after what you've gone through the last 3-4 years, that you would absolutely question everything. And could keep questioning everything. You know, when I see people who think that you're being bad or nasty by asking questions, and I think to myself, how many times did you get stuck? I didn't. I never did. Nope, didn't happen. Why? Because I questioned and couldn't get answers. Hey, where's this thing come from? Oh, what's in it? What's the side effect? No, you can't tell me all that, huh? Never mind, don't want none. I'll take the cough and the sniffles. I'll be good. Wife said the same thing. You gonna do this? No, I'm not doing this. Why are you not doing it? I don't know what it is. You gonna wear this thing? No. You mean this thing that when I eat I can do this and it knows that I'm eating, but no, it knows I'm not eating. Nope. You ask the question. Hey, how does it know when I'm eating versus not eating? See, you wouldn't know that if you didn't question things. And we all grew up in an age where you listen to your teacher, you listen to your doctor, you listen to the policeman, you listen to your elders. We were taught that. Hey, respect, do what they, don't question me. And now it's just the opposite. Even for people you want to believe, you still have to question them. We all need to have this kind of proof. And it's not bad. And it doesn't mean someone's lost faith. It doesn't mean that anyone is undermining. It's like, hey, Pam, I got questions. And some of you in the chat here are saying you shouldn't even have the questions. They never cancel at the last minute. Things are really off right now, in my opinion. Imagine that. You announce you're going to have a press conference. You bring everybody into the room. You've got all the people, the cameras and everything, and then 1 or 2 minutes beforehand go, yeah, we're not going to do that. Let me see if Monica has posted anything, because obviously she's right in the White House. Monica, let's see what they've told her. And that's the other thing. When you hear it's just like quiet and nobody talks, like even Monica, nope, there's no posting. Ashley, have you tried to get a hold of Monica and see what's going on? Don't know. But when everything goes silent, even the reporters at the White House, nobody's got, hey man, what's going on? Crazy. I wonder if the press conference is paused so Trump can handle the situation. Let's see here. F that jab. Nope, not me. Wasn't going to happen. China is 10,000 fleeing and over 7 billion have left China. Where are they going? That's crazy. All right, so while we do that, let me move on to some additional stuff here. If you haven't noticed, well, this being a big news day, Scott Bessent was testifying in front of Congress. And I want you to see some of the idiocy that the Democrats have spewed, and what they're saying to a Secretary of the Treasury that they never would have asked, Janet Yellen, because she wouldn't have known what she's talking about. So check this out.
Plays a very essential role in safeguarding our depositors, ensuring prudent bank supervisors, and maintaining the safety and soundness of our financial system.
Congressman, I agree that a well-functioning FDIC is essential to the U.S. financial system.
And on Monday, you said this, and I quote, you said this, that the president tasked you with helping him choose the leader of the financial regulators so that we are all aligned, all regulators, to be safe, sound, and smart. And you went on to list the key positions that you've done that, including a new vice chairman for supervision of the Fed, a new head of the OCC, and Paul Atkins of the Securities and Exchange Commission, and a new CFTC commission. But as of this morning, we have no FDIC chairman full-time. It is now under temporary leadership of an acting chair named Travis Hill, with the president having no current plans to either formally nominate him or find a replacement. The nation is watching us. Why we don't have the head of the FDIC. So my question is, have you not helped President Trump in selecting a chairman to lead the FDIC?
Congressman, I would point out that under the previous administration, there was only an acting chair of the OCC for 5 years. 5 years. That Mr. Hill is the acting, and as a matter of fact, the head of the OCC, the head of the CFTC have not been confirmed, so those are in fact acting also. Mr. Hill is a very capable regulator, having been on the board of the FDIC.
Yeah, I'm not. And you're filibustering here.
We are pursuing
I'm not questioning
with
that.
all deliberate speed.
Have you been instructed by President Trump to refrain from offering a list of viable candidates to lead the FDIC?
No, sir. I am.
One of the problems I have, I just talked to you guys about question everything. And so one of the things I have a problem with, when nobody ever questions, nobody in the press, nobody online, nobody ever questions. Congressman Scott, who wrote your questions? What? Yeah. Who wrote them? You could barely read what you're writing. You have no idea what you're talking about. You're talking to a billionaire Secretary of the Treasury, and you're reading questions from the book piece of paper. Who is writing for these congressional nut jobs? They have no idea what they're talking about. You're going to see 3 or 4, maybe 5 different Congress people, Democrats, who are asking questions, and the entire time they're asking a question, they're reading it. If you really know what you're talking about, and you have some sort of clue, maybe you could have a footnote or something, but you're not. You're reading it. So someone else is pulling your strings. We want to know who the deep state is. Find out who's writing these questions for these people. Because if we had a true hearing with just the people that they're supposedly elected, these people would look like even worse idiots than they do right now. They don't know what they're talking about. They're figureheads, they're puppets, and all they do is play a role on television and in Washington. How do these people get in office?
Constantly reviewing the list and thinking who is best to lead that important institution.
Well, I want you to know that I wrote a letter to the Trump administration. Here it is. expressing grave concern with the erosion of financial regulatory agency independence. And, Mr. Chairman, I'd like to submit this for the record.
Without objection.
And we remain highly alarmed by this growing perception that our financial regulators have acquiesced to political pressure from this administration, perhaps even from the President of the United States. If I were president, I wouldn't have this vacancy at a time when we're running tariffs all over the country, when our...
What tariffs are we running across the country? See, when he started riffing, it was good while he was reading. Oh, okay, you're reading, you're making a little bit of sense, and then you put the paper down and you decide you're going to just riff. They're running tariffs all over the country. We are? Which ones? How much are they? Scott Bessent, you got more patience than me because I'd asked him. What? Excuse me, point of order, Congressman. Reclaiming my time. No, seriously, I can't answer your question because you're not making any flipping sense. What tariffs are we running all over the country? Man.
Economy is in these kinds of difficulties. The nation is watching us. Russia is operating us. As the president is going around the...
Russia is operating us. How do you answer whatever? If this guy ever asks a question, how do you answer him? It doesn't make any sense. Excuse me, sir. You can reclaim all the time you want. What do you mean Russia is operating us? You know, for the record.
Country dealing with upsetting Canada, places around the world. So I just want to know that where are we going? When are we going to have a chairman? Are we going to have it? And answer me truthfully. Has President Trump asked you to delay this appointment? And if so, why?
Okay, so he finally gets to a question. Answer me. Okay. All right. So are you going to be happy with the answer? I don't know.
That statement is incorrect. He has not asked me to delay that appointment. And I believe that your question is, when are we going to have an FDIC nominee? And we have OCC nominees. We have a CFTC nominee. We have a vice chair for supervision nominee.
Mr. Chairman,
I would ask you to urge your Senate colleagues to, on the Democratic side, to vote for them.
Thanks,
well,
Secretary.
When is he going to do
Scott,
it?
your time's expired.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Excellent discussion.
Thank you.
I recognize the distinguished chair of our Financial Institutions Subcommittee for 5 minutes.
We have fossils in our government. We have people in the government who shouldn't be there, who are puppets, who don't even know what they're talking about. And Scott Bessent, with his answer to him and talking about the different people that he's put in place, he has no idea who these people are. that gentleman was completely gone. And then, of course, if you want him in place, you need to have your Democrats vote for them, you moron. That's why they're not in place. These people don't even realize the procedure, what kind of process is involved to get people approved.
Mr. Chairman, I want to raise a point of order.
Yes, ma'am.
But I don't want the clock to be eating my time.
I'm sorry. Yes.
I would like for the witness to be swearing in before I ask my questions.
The chair doesn't see a need for that. You may ask your question. Your time can start the gentlewoman's time over at 5 minutes.
Secretary Bessent, you were on CNBC earlier this week making claims saying we are very close and maybe we will see some deals this week on tariffs. So tell us, tell the American people, tell small businesses and consumers, tell retirees, specifically, which countries are you close to striking deals with?
I'm sorry, Congresswoman, but that would not benefit the United States.
No. I'm asking you a question based on the statement that you made on CNBC.
And I am telling you that it would be detrimental to the interest of the United States for me to answer that question.
Why would that be detrimental?
You want to give out... That's why these people cannot continue to be in our government. You want the Secretary of Treasury, who's negotiating trillion-dollar deals, to tell you the intricacies of how this deal is being put in place. When you don't have even the slightest idea what's going on. So you're like, well, how can it be a problem? Because you're going to run to MSNBC and going to tell everybody what the plan is. Why would I tell you? You do not have that security clearance. It's way above your pay grade.
Because as the negotiations may still be in process as we speak, as we are not at the end of the week yet, I am sure that you, through your question, would not want to compromise the U.S. negotiations.
Reclaiming my time, Secretary Besson, the president goes into a press conference and claims that there are negotiations going on. And then the next day, there's no negotiations going on. So why would you not answer my question? And that will be considered detrimental to the American people, to the American economy. I do not understand. Despite your claim...
It's so funny. You ask a question, but then we're going to go over here now. I didn't have a chance to answer what you just asked me. Many of you have probably purchased homes. And I'm pretty sure that the realtor involved and you and the seller, when you sat at the table... The next door neighbor didn't. Hey, so what terms are in your contract? I know what it was listed for. That's public. But what's the deal here? How much you giving them really? And what are you going to do with the money when you get that cash from selling your house? What do you plan on doing with the money? I'd like to know. I gotta get the hell out of here. It's my deal. This is between me, the seller, the lawyers. What do you mean, Mr. Neighbor? And this is what she's doing. She's peering in and going, why don't I know what's going on? Maybe you should be appointed Secretary of the Treasury.
Say there are negotiations going on. I'm not going to reveal the details.
No filibuster. No filibuster here.
So how long do you think those negotiations will take before they are concluded?
There are numerous countries, as I have said, if you saw my CNBC interview, which you referenced, that there are 18 important trading partners, and we are moving forward at all deliberate speed with those.
Do you consider these negotiations advanced negotiations?
Some of them are quite advanced.
So you expect this deal to be more than memorandums of understanding? You expect them to be full negotiated trade deals?
I believe that they will be the agreements in principle, and then we will paper them over in the coming months. But once we reach an agreement, then I am sure that the other countries will live up to it.
Okay. In congressional testimony yesterday, you said the U.S. has not started negotiating with China on tariff reductions. Does that continue to be your position, yes or no?
As you may have read...
Yes or no, sir?
As you may have read in the press, I will be going to Switzerland, and the negotiations will begin on Saturday.
Okay, so the president told you that that will be your answer today.
The president told you that's what your answer would be. So the president's got his hand up Scott Bessent like he's some Charlie McCarthy doll, and this is what this lady's implying. They don't have anything to talk about. And so they think this is working for them. Let's just go ahead and try and muddy up the waters. Let's try to embarrass these people, these distinguished, experienced, well-heeled people who are in place, and let's just make stuff up because our audience who we talk to, you go get them, girl, not realizing this does nothing for America. Nothing.
So can you tell who from the Trump...
Oh, stop. See, this is where Scott Besson, if he had the ability to do so. Who's that? See, I wish that they would allow people to ask these questions. Who's that? This guy who just whispered in your ear and handed you a piece of paper. Who's he? Because you're going to be asking me his question. I saw him handing you the piece of paper. I want to know who this guy is. America wants to know who's pulling these people's strings. Who is actually putting these questions together? Why is this guy not identified? Excuse me, I'm Fred from, Pokins Cummings law firm, and I actually run this New York congressperson. Well, then why don't you sit down? Because we don't know who you are, but you're the one who's feeding her the questions.
Administration is engaged in those discussions.
Which discussions?
With China.
Trade discussions?
Pardon?
I'm sorry.
Trade discussions, yes, sir.
Well, the trade negotiations will be led by myself and Ambassador Jameson Greer,
and
USTR.
Did you see that? She has no idea what she's talking about. Let me push that back about 4 seconds, because when these things happen, you guys should realize what's going on. Hold on, let's play that. Who's that? Scott Besson knows. Look at his face. Yeah, this woman has no idea what she's talking about. This woman is asking me questions. She has no clue. None. And this guy has to keep getting up and it's under second page. Second page, number 2, idiot. Read this one. And these are the people who are running our government. Not the people that you see, walking around Washington. It's that guy. It's those people right there. These people in the shadow. This is why they call them the deep state. Nobody knows who this guy is. Nobody's elected him. They always talk about unelected people. Who the hell are you prompting a congressperson and telling her what she needs to be asking? And Scott Besson knows. Look at the look on his face. He's like, this woman's a blooming idiot. And this guy is who I should be talking to. You got a question? Sit in the chair. Get this corpse out of here. This is a problem I have with our government and why I say we're in really, really, really big trouble. There are people like that guy handing the papers who are running different offices around the country, and we think it's this congressperson or that senator, and we think that those are our elected officials, and we already know the president wasn't even running things. You know, the auto pen thing? Someone was hitting a button. Go ahead and do this DocuSign thing. Joe didn't know what the hell was going on. And it's across government. What are we going to do to stop this? This should now be, it's epidemic. These people are, I got a couple more to show you.
So can you tell who from the Trump administration is engaged in those discussions?
Which discussions?
With China.
Trade discussions?
Pardon?
I'm sorry.
Trade discussions, yes, sir.
Well, the trade negotiations will be led by myself and Ambassador Jameson Greer,
and
USTR.
And what about Pete Navarro?
Sorry?
Peter Navarro.
He will not be joining us in Geneva.
Thank God for that. Are those negotiations considered?
Look at the guy behind her, smirking and smiling. He knows. It's a big show. Everything that's why my cry on my thing at the bottom goes, what are we watching here? What the hell is going on? I mean, I think you guys are seeing this. I wasn't just picking on Pam Bondi or Kash Patel or Dan Bongino. I'm like, what is going on?
Advanced.
Pardon?
Are those negotiations considered advanced?
As I said, on Saturday we will begin, which I believe is the opposite of advance.
Secretary Besson, as Treasury Secretary and a senior member of President Trump's economic team, has President Trump given you the authority to finalize any trade agreement with China or any other trading partner?
As President Trump has stated, he will have the final decision on any trade agreement.
So you're telling me all of these increased prices, the stock market losses, the production delays are all based on the wins of Donald Trump, that you could strike the best deal with Canada, Mexico, or even China that is completely in our favor, giving us everything the administration
Gentlewoman's
is
time has
seeking.
expired.
And if President Trump decides at any certain moment, for whatever reason, not to take the deal, that will be it. I yield back.
4 decades? We've had trade.
All right. This one's funny. So if you got anything you're eating, you might not want to eat because this one might cause you to expel your food because this guy's a nut. Oh, you're gonna love this one.
Deficits in the United States of America, and nobody said it was an emergency. Democratic and Republican presidents. You know what that says to me? That it's not an emergency because it hasn't been for 4 decades.
Now this guy takes the prize. He's saying that us being completely dependent upon China, running up deficit after deficit, having the huge amount of debt, it's no big deal because nobody else ever raised the alarm. And if it's such a big deal, why did we never raise the alarm before? Because you're all in on it. You've been in on it. Or, and you're not going to like this answer, Congressperson, you were too stupid to notice. You pick your poison here. But it's obviously a big deal. You can't run your own personal finances this way. You can't have your credit card just keep spending. You got to pay it down. Interest is going to kill you. But you're saying it's no big deal because nobody else ever said anything about it. It was fine. Everything was fine. That's the kind of idiocy we're dealing with in government.
It sounds to me that we should bring tariffs back to the United States Congress so that we can make that determination as the Constitution has said and not try to go around Congress. That's just unbelievable to me. Let me ask this question. Maybe I missed it. Who was the president and who has been the president since January 20th, 2025?
Donald J. Trump.
Okay. And who was the president in 2024?
One believes President Biden.
One believes?
You asked. You asked. Oh, I was like, oh, bam. Bam. You opened the door. He gave it to you.
Are you one of those non-believers that the election, the American people didn't vote?
I am not.
You're not? You said one believes? Do you believe in the Constitution of the United States and it should be abided by?
I believe in the Constitution of the United States.
So you believe in it without any second thought. You don't have to think about it. You believe in it and you would abide by it. Is that correct?
I have and I do, sir.
Okay. Well, do you know that a president has said he may or may not? He don't know? Do you know?
I like that clip for one reason. Whatever they were talking about tariffs and budgets and everything else, Once that came out, that they were talking about the election, oh, hell broke loose. Oh, my God. I cannot believe you question the fidelity of the election in 2024. They lost it. I mean, why would you have lost it? Now we got to talk about Auntie Maxine here.
The level, type, or nature of the clearances and security training required for individuals to access the information held in the computers of Treasury, IRS, or CFPB.
Yes, I do, and I think we would have a disagreement over the definition of the word unfettered.
Mr. Secretary, did all the individuals working with Doge who were given access to Treasury's and CFPB's computer databases receive all of the required clearances and security training before they were granted access?
Again, they were granted read-only access at Treasury. There were two.
So let me just say,
Doge employees.
Please, you can't filibuster here. This is not the
case. Since when is the asking of a question a filibuster? You ask me a question, I'm going to give your uneducated behind an answer. You may not like it, but it is the answer. But you don't even want me to answer the question because you got to read. You got to get this read done. You got to read right through it. So some of you guys who've tuned in, if you're wondering why we're not listening to Caroline Levitt, it's because for some reason, unbeknownst to us, I've checked everything in the background here while this has been playing. There's no notice as of right now why it was abruptly canceled, but it was canceled. The press conference with Caroline Levitt just went poof with no response. Even the reporters at the White House, nobody is saying anything as of right now. Can't find it anywhere. So let's continue with this comedy.
Was the playground. And so what you did was you let these strangers into our Treasury with access to all of the data, all of the personnel information, and you just opened the door. Why'd you do that?
No, ma'am. They were Treasury employees.
Oh, are you saying today in front of this committee that all of them were Treasury employees, that the 25-year-old who's being identified, who worked for Elon Musk, was allowed into the Treasury? Was that person there?
He was a Treasury employee, as was Tom Krause, the senior person on the Doge team. There were only two people.
There were Doge employees also.
Sorry?
Do you know? Were you aware that there were Doge employees coming into our Treasury getting all of our personal information?
Well, ma'am, there is no such thing as a Doge employee. There were Treasury.
I was waiting for that one. There's no such thing, moron. It's a Doge. What's a Doge employee? She didn't even know that. She walked right into it. He let her do it. Oh, it was fantastic.
Please.
I tend to disagree with you based on the information I have.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Thank the ranking member, and I thank the witness for appearing. Mr. Treasurer, when you testified before the Senate, you indicated that the CDFI...
All right, so before I go into this, there is a notification. SV just says, it goes, that White House press briefing scheduled for 1 p.m. today was canceled due to President Trump's press engagement in the Oval Office for the swearing in of David Perdue as ambassador to China. The briefing has been rescheduled to a later date. No date has been shown, and I'm not sure what time President Trump is going to give us the idea, not President Trump, when Caroline Levitt is going to let us know when President Trump is going to be in the Oval Office. Let me just tell you, according to the schedule that was put out earlier today, I can tell you that he was supposed to do his swearing in. He's right now, okay, just to give you an idea, at 1 p.m. President Trump is having lunch with J.D. Vance. And then at 12:30 was the swearing. Let me make sure that was for, that 12:30. So I guess they had a gaggle going at 12:30 when they did the swearing in. But as of right now, that video hasn't been released. So I guess they already had a press conference in the Oval Office. When that video pops up, we'll go ahead and put that out. So 12:30 had a swearing in with the press already there. So there was no need for the 1 p.m. press because they actually talked to Trump. they didn't have to talk to Caroline Leavitt. So as soon as that pops up, we'll take a look at it. And I've got my monitors on different feeds, so we'll be able to get to it. All right, let's continue. This is with, who's this guy? Al Green, the guy who wants to impeach President Trump.
Is a very important program. It's very important to us. Is this correct?
I did, sir.
And is it true that you would not agree that it is a woke program, it has cultural Marxism associated with it, and that it is abused? You wouldn't agree with that, would you?
Sorry, I think the CDFI fund is performing its statutory functions as required.
So you would not agree then that it's woke? Is it statutory function to be woke?
Okay, so I'm going to come back to that. They tell me he's live on the White House feed. I'm going to pull that in. Give me a second. In the interim, while I'm doing all that construction back here behind the scenes, I want you to listen to this message from, actually, no, I'll do that later. Just give me a second.
Announce that I've just signed a proclamation officially designating tomorrow, May 8th, as a Victory Day for World War II, commemorating the 80th anniversary of America's victory in the Second World War. All over the globe, our World War II allies are celebrating this week, but the United States has never joined in with the proper celebration of our own, and the victory was mostly accomplished because of us. Whether you like it or not, we came into that war and we won that war, and we had a lot of help from a lot of great people, a lot of great allies. But I think there would be nobody that would say that we were not the dominant force in that war, and we don't celebrate it. And I think that's a great disservice to the people that lost their lives and people that fought so hard in winning World War II, and also a separate Victory Day for World War I, and we're going to be doing that too. It was American tanks and ships and trucks and airplanes and service members that vanquished the enemy 80 years ago this week. Without America, the liberation would never have happened. And so we have to pay tribute and homage to those people that gave us victory. And we did something else that people don't talk about. We rebuilt the world. All of these countries that were destroyed, we helped them rebuild. And that's something that, for the most part, others did not do. So with this proclamation, we are hereby honoring the incredible sacrifice and heroism of millions of Americans who served in World War II, along with the unprecedented mobilization, home front that helped deliver this great triumph. All Americans should take pride in what these incredible patriots have achieved. So I just want to say happy Victory Day to all. So we are celebrating every year now. I can guarantee for 4 years, but I think after that we're going to have 2 Victory Days, World War I and World War II. This is World War II Victory Day. In the future, we're going to have a major celebration of each day. We're not going to have days off because we don't have enough days in the year. We have too many celebrations already. But we're going to have Victory Day and World War I, World War II. And without us, those wars would not have been won. I think we can say that, would not have been won. And I think it's time that the United States starts taking credit for their achievements. And I really believe it's a shame. You know, I was watching for the last week, and I noticed France, I noticed other countries all getting ready for Victory Day. And I said, that's sort of strange, because David just added something. He said, we also rebuilt the world. And I didn't have that, and I should have that. That was a big factor. But I noticed all of the countries, Russia, having a big day tomorrow. And by the way, they lost millions of people, and they were absolutely a major factor. But there was no major factor like us. We won the war, and we won it with the help of others. But everybody was celebrating but the United States of America. And I said, you know, I think it's time that we start celebrating victory. And that's what we're doing. So now for the reason that we're here, but I asked David, would it be appropriate if I did that? He said, absolutely. That's a big thing that we're doing on your swearing in. Very big thing. But now for the real reason, and a reason that I'm very proud of, because he's been my friend for a long time. We're swearing in our next ambassador to the People's Republic of China. What timing, David? What timing? Only you could have picked this timing. It's your fault. I picked him a long time ago, but it just happened to come due on a pretty important date. But our friend David Perdue, Senator David Perdue, joining David this afternoon are his incredible wife Bonnie, who's been at his side for a long time, their sons David and Blake, their daughter-in-law Danielle and daughter-in-law Charlotte, and their grandsons David, Hudson, and Jack. That's a beautiful family. Congratulations. I didn't think you had it in you, David. That's really something. That's pretty amazing. Look at that. Our new ambassador brings to this position a lifetime of experience at the highest levels of business and politics, and he is at the highest level. Over 4 decades in business, he rose to lead several major American corporations, including as the president and CEO of the footwear giant Reebok, where he did very well, he did a great job, and later CEO of Dollar General. Likewise, he did a great job. David also lived and worked in Singapore and Hong Kong for several years, developing a wealth of experience negotiating and doing tremendous business deals for lots of different leaders that he worked with. Following his tremendous business success as an executive, David stepped forward to serve America in government, and as we all know, in 2014, he was elected United States Senate in Georgia, and he was very popular, very respected from day one. He served on the Senate Foreign Relations Committee and was a tremendous partner to our administration during my first term. I dealt with him a lot, and he solved a lot of problems. Now I'm entrusting David to help manage one of America's most complex and consequential foreign relationships, and I know he'll do a fantastic job. As our lead diplomat in Beijing, David will work to promote American interests and stability in the Indo-Pacific, help stop the flood of Chinese fentanyl across our borders, which we have to do. We lost, I believe, 300,000 people last year. Seek fairness and reciprocity for the American worker, ensure the safety of our citizens overseas, and promote peace in the region and in the world. And I'm confident that he will do an exceptional job. He's an exceptional man, and make our country very proud and make our country very safe, too. So, David, I want to congratulate you. This is as big as it gets, and the timing is unbelievable, but it's time that we have somebody like this. This is a very, very extraordinary man, and you're going to do a fantastic job. And say hello to President Xi when you're over there, please, okay? Thank you very much. Marco, would you do the service? Thank you.
Put your left hand and raise your right. Raise your right hand. All right. I state your name.
David Perdue,
Do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I will support and defend
that I will support and defend
the Constitution of the United States
the Constitution of the United States
against all enemies,
against all enemies,
foreign and domestic,
foreign and domestic,
that I will bear true faith
that I will bear true faith
and allegiance
and allegiance
to the same,
to the same,
that I take this obligation freely, without any mental reservation or purpose of evasion, and that I will well and faithfully discharge the duties of the office on which I am about to enter. So help me God. Congratulations.
David, would you like to say something?
Mr. President, I'm humbled to be in this office today. I love what you've done with this office. I like the Declaration of Independence. I want the world to know that I know this man personally. He loves this country, and I am glad to be your man in China. Thank you.
Thank you, David. I think just for the sake of formality, here we go, David. Come on up. Come on up here, Bonnie. That's what it's all about, right? And now we send you on your way. Lots of luck.
Yes, sir.
We're right behind you, David.
Look forward to seeing you over there, sir.
Okay, have a good time. Thank you. Congratulations, everybody. Congratulations. Any questions, please?
Mr. President, the Treasury Secretary just told lawmakers that a tariff exemption for certain baby items like car seats is under consideration. Will you exempt some products that families rely on?
I don't know. I'll think about it. I don't know. I really don't. I want to make it nice and simple. I'm not looking to have so many exemptions that nobody knows what's doing. We have to make it very simple, but I'll take a look at it. Yep. Please.
Mr. President, there are rumblings in Washington that some House Republican moderates are opposed to defunding Planned Parenthood in this year's reconciliation package. What do you say to those members, and are you supportive of?
Well, I don't know yet. I have to see, because you're just telling me that for the first time. We'll work something out.
Mr. President, what are you hoping your representatives will get out of the talks in Switzerland on China? And secondly, what does China need to do on fentanyl specifically? What do you want to see them do?
Well, they have to stop fentanyl from coming in. That'll be a very big part. And I had that understanding with President Xi before I left last time, and we had a deal, and he would have honored the deal. But when Biden came in, of course, nothing ever happened with him. He didn't know what the hell he was doing. But that would have saved a lot of lives. That election cost us a lot of lives and a lot of heartache. The fact that we went through 4 years of misery, and you look at what's coming through the border, and the job of getting murderers out of our country. So many bad things happened. The wars. You wouldn't have October 7th. You wouldn't have Russia fighting with Ukraine. You wouldn't have had that disaster in Afghanistan. You wouldn't have had inflation. All these things would have not taken place. So sad to see what happened. Any other questions?
Are your administration sending migrants to Libya?
I don't know. You'll have to ask Homeland Security, please.
Vice President Vance said Russia was asking for too much to end the war. Given that, do you still have confidence that...
When did he say that?
Earlier this morning.
Well, it's possible that he's right. He may know some things that, because I've been dealing with this and some other things, but we are getting to a point where some decisions are going to have to be made. I'm not happy about it. Okay.
Just follow up, sir, on the talks in Switzerland. What do you expect? What do you hope to come out of it?
We'll see. I mean, look, it's we were losing $1 trillion a year. Now we're not losing anything. You know, that's the way I look at it. We were losing with China on trade $1 trillion a year, more actually, 1.1. But let's say $1 trillion. You know what we're losing now? Nothing. That's not bad.
Mr. President, are you planning a new ceasefire and hostage deal proposal for Israel and Hamas before you head over to the region next week?
Where?
In Gaza.
In Gaza. Well, we're going to see what's happening. There's a lot of talk going on about Gaza right now. You know that, right? So you'll be knowing probably in the next 24 hours. Yeah.
Actions between the war in India and Pakistan. What's your position?
Oh, it's so terrible. My position is I get along with both. I know both very well, and I want to see them work it out. I want to see them stop. And hopefully they can stop now. They've gone tit for tat, so hopefully they can stop now. But I know both. We get along with both countries very well, good relationships with both, and I want to see it stop. And if I can do anything to help, I will be there. You know, by the way, unrelated, but I guess it's all related when you look at the world nowadays. Rwanda and the Congo, we've made a lot of progress in getting that disaster stopped. We've had a very talented person over there, and we've made a lot of progress with Rwanda and Congo fighting a very violent war, by the way.
China says in order to have substantive negotiations, you have to bring down your 145% tariffs. Are you open to pulling back your tariffs in order to get China to the negotiating table?
No.
Mr. President, Senator Tillis has come out against Ed Martin as U.S. Attorney. Do you have any response to that?
Well, it's disappointing because, I know Eddie's very talented. Crime is down in Washington, D.C. Street crime, violent crime by 25%. And people have seen, they've noticed a big difference. So I didn't know that. But if anybody voted against him, I feel very badly about it, only in the sense that in this short period of time that he's been there, crime is down 25% in Washington, D.C. But that's really up to the senators. If they, feel that way, they have to vote the way they vote. They have to follow their heart, and they have to follow their mind.
Mr. President, when you are referring to the Persian Gulf as the Arabian Gulf, are you going to make that announcement on your part?
They're going to ask me about that when I get there, and I'll have to make a decision.
So you haven't made a decision yet?
I don't want to hurt anybody's feelings. I don't know if feelings are going to be hurt. Why have a case right over here? It's called Gulf of America. And I guess a lot of people get ideas from us. But the Gulf of America was something I thought should have been named a long time ago. I'm going to be given a briefing on that. It was just done. And I'll make a decision.
Is it the U.S. position that Iran can have an enrichment program as long as it doesn't reach a weapons?
We haven't made that decision yet. We will, but we haven't made that decision yet. Yeah.
China said the U.S. initiated the trade talks this weekend and that its position hasn't changed. Are you still confident you can reach a deal with China?
They said we initiated? Well, I think they ought to go back and study their files. Okay? I do think that. Go ahead. What do you?
Are you planning to ease chip export restrictions to some of these Gulf countries and then also make announcements regarding...
We might be doing that, yeah.
And their nuclear programs, civilian nuclear programs?
And it'll be announced soon.
And you're to help them develop some nuclear power?
Well, we're going to take a look. We're going to take a look. But, we had really a very good, as you know, we had a very good outcome with the Houthis, and we honor their word. I mean, they made a commitment, and we dealt with other countries that were close to them and their surrogates, and we honor all of their words. We'll see what happens, but I think, I believe that hopefully that's over with, and they'll leave the ships alone, just leave those ships alone. But so we do. We take their word for it. It was, we hit them very hard. They had a great capacity to withstand punishment. They took tremendous punishment. And, you could say there's a lot of bravery there. It was amazing what they took. But we honor their commitment and their word. They gave us their word that they wouldn't be shooting ships anymore, and we honor that. I want to thank you all for being here. I want to congratulate David Perdue and his family. He's going to be really an incredible ambassador to China. I have no doubt about it. And we're going to work together very closely. Thank you all very much. Thank you. Thank you, David.
Yeah, so that was probably one of the shortest press conference thingies that I've seen President Trump have. And as a couple of you picked up, yeah, he didn't look particularly happy today. So, maybe he's tired, maybe, I have no idea. But just some weird things going on. Some very weird things going on. Let's see what happens here. I know that you're right, SB. SB is texting me and saying that Jerome Powell is now doing a press briefing in 30 minutes. Yes, I was aware about that. And then after that was supposed to be Kash Patel's hearing. So his hearing is probably going to go on for 2 hours. I'll tape that. It'll be a part of tonight's show that we do that. But if we're still on, and it looks likely like we'll still be on for Chairman Powell, we'll listen to him, see if they go ahead and lower interest rates. Maybe Trump was upset because he's got word they're not going to lower interest rates. That would really, really be pissing him off, because I'm telling you right now, it's 202. And if you look at, let me see if I can bring it up so you guys can see what Wall Street may already be hinting at it. All right, so right now, the Dow is at, 4106. Let me bring that up in case you guys have not been following it today. Where is it? On my screen here. I'm going to have to get like a cue chart because I've got so many things waiting to show you guys. All right, so this is the Dow today. Let me bring this out on its own page. There we go. The Dow as of right now, 41,106.07, up 277 as of right now. And with the 2:30 announcement, whatever that's going to be, we're going to find out. It looks like it's the chart is all around the place here for one day. It's just moving around. There's a dip about 5 minutes ago, and it popped right back up. So I'm going to keep this open because if I can get his interview, or rather his statement, it'll be probably short. I doubt Chairman Powell's going to talk more than 5 or 10 minutes, but whatever he says, one way or the other, you're going to see some happy people and you're going to see some people who aren't so happy because of what may happen with the stock market. So in any event, that you may see gold jump as well. So gold, all this stuff in the next 30 minutes, some people may lose some money, some people may make some money, but in any event, if you're watching along and you want to hedge your bets and understand that gold and silver may be some things you may want to take heed and take advantage of, especially since the volatility in the market, you're going to see it happen. It's not often that you see exact timing of the market and its fluctuations. You're going to see it in about 26 minutes. Boom, something's going to happen, or boom, it's going to happen the other way, but it'll be instant. So right about now, I know I'm looking at it. I hope you're looking at it. Take a listen to this. We're in a very volatile time right now. There's plenty of financial uncertainty. Now is not the time to be speculative. And I'm also speaking from a personal perspective. I'm buying income-producing real estate, and I'm buying gold and silver. A lot of people don't know the difference between the economy and the stock market. And too many people listen to the news and social media. That'll get you in trouble. Let's face it. It's obvious that a lot of people have an agenda they're not telling you about. Right now, your best bet is stability. And that means you might need to build a hedge against global volatility. May I recommend gold and silver to you? Real gold and real silver. Not paper, not certificates. Actual gold and silver. What gold and silver can give you is absolute peace of mind. A stock is only as good as the company behind it. It's merely a piece of paper. One of the things I can tell you is that many people are finding out the hard way that some of their investments were built on quicksand. Gold will never be worth zero. Silver will never be worth zero. If you want to calm some of your fears, give my friends at Lear Capital a call today at 800-601-5430 or go to learberry.com. Just so you know, Lear Capital has over 27 years of experience, thousands of 5-star reviews, and over $5 billion in trusted transactions. And Lear is the only gold company with a 24-hour risk-free purchase guarantee. You don't pay unless you're 100% satisfied. So go to learberry.com. If you want peace of mind, give my friends at Lear Capital a call at 800-601-5430. Or look down here below and go to learberry.com. And don't forget to ask about getting up to $15,000 in free gold or silver with a qualifying purchase. Don't wait. Do it now. Nobody knows what tomorrow holds. Be safe. I just want to say thank you to the Fanfare community. And if you're new here, I'd like to take a moment and welcome you. If you watch my videos, you've probably realized at this point that this isn't your usual podcast. The difference is that every single day I try to make this show an open conversation amongst friends. You see, I believe that speaking to friends, here and in your own circle offline, is the best way to push back against all the lies being told by the Democrats and the media. I encourage people in this community to welcome each other, and in doing so become a source of support for those seeking to unplug from the matrix. If you'd like to communicate on a deeper level, I invite you to subscribe to the channel, but if you'd really like to surround yourself with like-minded patriots, join our free and private X group by going to fanfareshop.org/group. When you join this free group, a few things will happen. One, if you haven't used X before, you can use X without venturing into the sewer that it sometimes can be. Two, you can share content with friends that you meet here. 3, you will get notified every time I go live, so you can't count on YouTube notifications. And 4, and this might be most important, you get content that I can't share on YouTube or Rumble. So please take a moment and join our free and private X group. Just go to fanfareshop.org/group. Remember, it's members only. There are 16,000 plus people in that group right now, getting close to 17,000. To join our free and private members only X group, just go to fanfareshop.org/group. We'll see you there.
Welcome back to Fanfare with Barry Cunningham.
All right, so I've got the monitor queued up for Jerome Powell at 2:30, and in the interim, we can go ahead and continue with this insanity that Scott Bessent is having to have to endure with these people. It's actually kind of funny, so let's continue.
I've never seen that in the statute, sir.
Okay, what about Marxism? Is that associated with it in the statute?
Again, sir, I've never seen that.
Okay, now given that the president desires to cut into this program, you're the Secretary of the Treasury, what are you going to do about it to protect it?
Sir, the skinny budget does propose a new $100 million award program that will provide access to affordable financing.
Does that take care of the many billions that we put in, $12 billion to support the CDFIs? That's a lot. It's quite a distance from the $12 billion, sir. What are you going to do about it?
Look, I understand.
Do you advise the president?
Sorry?
Do you advise the president?
I advise the president on a wide range of matters.
Is this considered a part of a wide range of matters? Would you advise the president that he shouldn't cut these funds?
I look forward to working with you and the committee to ensure these programs operate efficiently for taxpayers.
What about efficiently for taxpayers and efficiently as a result of them being in place to do so? If you don't have the money, they can't be efficient. They can't serve taxpayers if you don't have the money. 61% of these programs are in Republican districts.
Is there a question?
Yes, it's a question in the sense that I'm asking you to suggest to the president that this is important and that you not cut it.
So I'm not sure if Representative Green understands, but a suggestion is not a asking me anything. What do you want me to do? Crazy.
So the skinny, as I said,
$100 million is quite a distance from $12 billion.
Well, that's not the annual appropriate. $12 billion is not the annual appropriation.
No, but $12 billion is what we, a bipartisan group of folk, put into the CDFIs as well as into the minority depository institutions. We don't want to see that cut. Let's go to another area.
I wish he had just said to the guy, I don't really give a shit what you don't want to see cut. I don't work for you. The guy sitting in 1600 Pennsylvania Avenue, he said, cut it. You got a problem, go see him. I don't want to see it cut. So? What are you talking about? The Democrat Party at this point is nothing more than complete tomfoolery. It's insane.
Do you agree that when a tariff is imposed upon a product that's coming into this country, that the tariff is collected at the border?
Yes, sir.
And do you agree that that money that's collected goes into the Treasury's coffer?
Yes, sir.
And do you agree also that if the person that is importing this product is of the opinion that it is something that his clientele, his customers desire, that he will pay that tariff?
Yes, sir.
And do you agree that when he pays that tariff, he's likely to pass it on to his customers, his consumers?
Sir, the laws of economics would say that they're very elastic.
I understand, but do you agree that he is likely to do that? Do you agree that he does it sometime? Do you agree that he does it sometime?
Again,
Do you agree that he ever does he ever do it?
Sure.
So your position is, as the great treasurer you are, that this is not passed on to the taxpayers?
It could
the
be.
Consumers. It could be. Well, is it ever? It's hard to say.
Didn't he just say it could be? Is it ever? It could be. Do you need a definition on that one? The Democrats don't want us to get out of this financial crisis. They want us mired in it. To them, it's a crisis that you're trying to get out of it. Again, for the people in the back who don't know, you can easily avoid a tariff. I see people on X always complaining, oh, Trump's going to kill the economy. No, it's your dollar. Your dollar hasn't gone anywhere. And if you want to choose item A or item B, item A may be more expensive. You have the choice of continuing to buy that item. Or you can say, nope, I'm not going to buy that. I'm going to buy this. And so every time the argument is made that a tariff is passed on to the consumer, no, it's only if the consumer votes for it. And they vote for it with their dollar and say, I have to have that. No matter what, I know it's more expensive, I have to have that. Well, first and foremost, he's worried about, you know who he's worried about. So if those people he's worried about can't afford the more expensive item, they still have a choice to buy this item. So I don't understand what the argument's all about, except for the fact they just want to complain about Trump.
Yes, isn't it? It really is.
It's not hard.
Don't listen, sir. You don't have to fear. Don't listen. Don't fear the president, sir. Is it ever passed on? Have you ever heard of this tax money being collected and passed on to the consumer to pay? Have you ever heard of that?
Well, the most recent studies from...
Okay, let's go on to this point.
I was going to answer you.
Excuse me, I'm reclaiming my time. I have a better point. Listen just a second. I only have a little bit of time. And when it goes into the coffers, that money is then going to be a part of the tax dollars that can be accorded to persons in terms of a tax cut. Is this true?
It's part of the overall...
Yes, it is true, which means that the consumer, the person who pays that tax, this tariff tax, when he makes that purchase, is going to put his money in your coffer, our coffer, and then the president later on can say, you got a tax cut, but it's really the money that the consumer has put into your coffer. That is true. I yield back.
Who pays tariffs?
All right, so let me just explain that to you, because these people are lying. Again, you have freedom of choice. You can pick what you want to pick. And if you go back to the big, beautiful bill where it says no tax on tips, no tax on overtime, no tax on Social Security, those are going to be big, big items that are going to positively affect your bottom line. They don't want to bring that up. So if the cost of your, I don't know, whatever you buy, your pancake mix or your sponges are up a few cents, buy this one. The whole thing is meant to be an incentive. And the Democrats don't understand that, and they're trying to tell Americans that this is bad. We need to stay with China. No, we need to rip the Band-Aid off. We need to understand you need to support American companies. I'm going to show you tonight some stuff that's going to blow you away in terms of like the immigration. A guy who owns a restaurant in Washington pretty much admitted that he's been using illegals for his staffing. They're trying to cut corners and get away from using anything that's American-based. That's the problem. That is the box that we're in right now. Don't worry about it. If it's more expensive, don't buy it. Buy what you need, not what you want, until we get this entire thing fixed. And I would say it. If I had a problem and I thought that this was going to negatively affect certain people, I would most assuredly say so. But the thing I'm looking at, if I don't really go to the grocery store anymore, we buy it online on Instacart, but I can see if a price is up or down. And I'm the one who's clicking the button. The store's not making me click the button. Hey, honey, what about this lettuce or this lettuce? Oh, this one's, if you're worried about the price, you pick what's cheaper. However, sometimes, and this is where some people get pissed off, why are we arguing about price? And I don't mean to preach to people in this regard, but why are we arguing about price? By making the argument about price, it's taking off the focus of America. See, to me, the question should be very simply put to the American people. The Democrats will never do it. Here's the question. What will you do to make this country great? Very simple question. I believe a guy in 1963 once said he could never get voted in right now. Not that he's around anyway, because they put a bullet through his brain. Ask not what your country could do for you. Ask what you can do for your country. I think Republicans would be extremely smart to say, yeah, it might be more expensive, but you're going to help America. Yeah, I'm all for that. I will take the hit if it makes for a better life for Americans. Nobody wants to say that. If I was President Trump, I would just bring that right back out and say that in a speech. Hey, a great man once said before y'all killed him that ask not what your country can do for you, but instead ask what you can do for your country. Because right now, what you can do for your country is quit bitching about the price of a tariff item. That's what I would tell people. I would be very, very strong with it. Quit it. Stop. This is what we have to do. This is how we have to fix America. Let them worry about it. Let China worry about what we're going to be doing. We need to get off the merry-go-round here where people are laughing at us. And the Democrats have framed this argument in such a way to make us feel bad. Make us feel bad for, not wanting to help America. We should just want to keep paying, let these countries take advantage of us. And it's only in my lifetime. Think about that. It's only in your lifetime. 1963 wasn't that long ago. It's basically a generation and a half. 62 years. And in 62 years, we have gone from a country that voted a guy in who said those words. He was overwhelmingly loved by Democrats and Republicans. And one of his big things was, you do it for the country. You have an obligation to make this country great. Then they killed him. Then they killed his brother. Then they killed the black guy that was trying to basically said the same thing. Martin Luther King Jr. would not have been about DEI. Read his speeches. Wanted us to have equal playing field, equal opportunity. Not DEI. That's not equal. So everything that the Democrat Party stood for 50 years ago, now they're stuck with this aberration of a party that's basically communist. Nothing what those people did. The icons of the Democrat Party, the Kennedys, Martin Luther King Jr., none of that would be even possible right now because they don't want people thinking that. It's just the opposite. Ask not what I can do for the country. Country needs to be doing for me. I need mine. You see how effed up that is? You see how completely ass backwards that is? It pisses me off that we're even having a conversation about price. Remember, we're talking about the items here. A toy, a doll. A flipping doll may be $3 or $4 more, and people are freaking out. Oh my God, what am I going to do about Christmas? Maybe tell your kids what Christmas is all about. Maybe sit down in the living room and read them a story. Maybe get them a little drum and let them sing. It's your problem that your kids can't wait for Christmas. Oh my gosh, I'm going to get all kinds of stuff from China. No. Sit down with your kids and say, you know, hey, little Susie and Bobby, this year's a little bit different. We're going to have to do some things different. You might have to get a pair of socks, not from China. Because you are going to have to do something for your country. Hey, Bobby, your country needs you. Remember the picture? Who did this? Who did this as like a 3-year-old boy? Watching his dad's casket go by. As they were wheeling his dead father by, John sat there and saluted. This is the country. And we can't get to that now. You got kids fighting in the street. You got people fighting in malls. You got all kinds of stupid stuff happening because the Democrats have promoted this. I'm sorry I went off on a little bit here, but to me, I don't care about pricing. Now, I'm not making light of the fact that people have different incomes and things of that nature, but I don't care because it wouldn't matter at all if I was on a fixed income. I wouldn't care because I would make an adjustment because it's good for the country. If I was making $2,000 a month on Social Security and that's all I had, I'd be fine because my decision is I'm standing for America. I don't care if it's more expensive. I'll find something else or do without it. I don't care. And so every time I turn on the TV or something, I hear somebody complaining about the pricing of this item because of a tariff. I'm like, well, how much are you paying for gas right now? Oh, that's down, huh? Is it offset that tariff item? Oh. What are you paying for food right now? Oh, is it down? Yeah. What about income tax? Oh, yeah, my taxes might be less. Hey, what about your property tax? We're about to hear in about 5 minutes, hey, maybe our interest rates are going to go down. What's going to happen to your mortgage if interest rate drops like 0.5 point today? Or should happen. Because maybe you need to call your mortgage broker and say, hey, we need to refinance. So if you do all that, if you're seeing that your gas prices are down and all, why do you care about if something's more in tariffs? Don't get tricked by these people. Don't get into the price argument. You know, in sales, they teach you very quickly, never negotiate price. Negotiate benefits and features. Hey, this car is like $45,000. Can you do anything about the price? Understand, I can go lower, but don't you want the sunroof? How about the chrome wheels? How about the leather package? You want all that? Oh yeah. See, this leather here is... You sell benefit and features, not price. No salesman will ever tell you they sell based on price. They sell based on features. Then if I can sell you on the features or get into your psychology and tell you why you would like this and maybe even need this, the price doesn't matter. I can tell you that for sure. I've been shopping with Robin for 32 years. And no, yes, no. Oh, yes. You ever go shopping with a woman? Of course you have. See, us as guys, we walk in and we're completely we've never been price conscious. Guys are completely price agnostic. Robin tells me, hey, go to the store and grab me this. I'm just going to the shelf and pulling it off and leaving. Did you shop? No, you said you wanted X, Y, and Z. I got it. Did you not even look to see that this one's like 30% more expensive? No, you didn't tell me that. It had a nice packaging. It looked good. It was what you wanted. I just grabbed it off the shelf. I didn't know I was supposed to look at the, what do you call those things? I don't even know what they're called anymore. The white label product from the grocery store that you can buy usually like for 45% off. Stop arguing over price. All right, we got one more guy. This guy's another tactic. They don't let you speak.
Secretary? No. Answer the questions I asked, please. I only have 5 minutes. Who pays tariffs?
Sorry? Well,
who pays tariffs?
Sorry,
Mr. Secretary, please.
Excuse me.
The question is very simply, who pays tariffs, Mr. Chairman? I'd like him to answer that question. He wants to answer other questions.
Well, Congressman, if the exporters, they dislike tariffs so much, why wouldn't they? If I think what you're trying to get me to say.
Did you remember the question? I'm not sure you did. Who pays tariffs?
That the It's a very complicated question.
Russia and others. Can I ask you, have you been briefed on the proper protocols for discussing information such as active military plans?
I have by my general counsel.
Very good.
If you will look.
I got a bunch of questions. So I'm just trying to narrow this down because this is really a concern. Just reclaiming my time.
To that show was.
Let me ask you.
My chief of staff's name, which was widely available.
Let me ask the questions and you provide the answers. Okay? How about that?
How about you kiss my behind? I've never understood why these people just don't go, excuse me, I'm out. I don't know who the hell you think you're talking to, but I'm done. I'm not here under subpoena. I'm here on my own behalf, and I am not going to let you just talk to me this way. So check yourself. I'm gone. I would have loved to see that.
Are you preserving records, Mr. Secretary, of these communications as required by the Public Records Act?
Yes, sir. My general counsel has photographed.
Are you still discussing sensitive military intelligence on a non-secure line?
I have never done that.
Okay. The National Security Council says you were on a chat that discussed those details. Are you saying that wasn't the case?
I have said that I have never discussed them.
Someone discussed it with you. You were on that. You were on a non-secure line for a meeting with other secretaries, right? Those people.
So he's there to talk about tariffs, and this guy's talking about Signalgate, and maybe he's never used a messaging app, but because you're on the messaging app doesn't mean that you're the one who's engaging in the conversation. And he just told you, I didn't discuss anything. Well, you're on it? Yeah, I was on it. So you were discussing something. No, I was on it. I was on the group chat. I could see it, but, oh yeah, Pete just said something. Oh yeah, Marco just said something. I'm looking. I'm not on it. So that's what he's trying to get him to say. Were you discussing things? No.
Just mentioned you weren't on that chat?
I was, but
you okay? That's what I'm talking about. So you could have intervened. You could have brought it up. You could have said this is an insecure line. We shouldn't be doing this. We're putting our sons and daughters in uniform at risk. Pre-attack. You could have done all that.
What's your point?
Mr. Hegseth, this is not involving you, but Mr. Hegseth afterwards did the same thing with a family chat. His wife, his brother, his sister, family attorney. You do understand the troublesome nature of that, right? Are you dismissing that and calling this a roaring success, as others have done, as the White House has done? This is troubling, and I just want the reassurances for this committee and for other members of Congress, other committees, and for, most importantly, for the families of Americans who send their sons and daughters, into harm's way, that put on that uniform. I just want the reassurances that we're not doing, this buffoonery has to stop, right? At some point, there are serious consequences for not.
Afternoon. My colleagues and I remain squarely focused on achieving our dual mandate goals of maximum employment and stable prices for the benefit of the American people. Despite heightened uncertainty, the economy is still in a solid position. The unemployment rate remains low, and the labor market is at or near maximum employment. Inflation has come down a great deal, but has been running somewhat above our 2% longer-run objective. In support of our goals, today the Federal Open Market Committee decided to leave our policy interest rate unchanged.
That's why
The
Trump
risks
was
of
pissed.
higher unemployment and higher inflation appear to have risen, and we believe that the current stance of monetary policy leaves us well positioned to respond in a timely way to potential economic developments. I will have more to say about monetary policy after briefly reviewing economic developments. Pardon me. Following growth of 2.5% last year, GDP was reported to have edged down in the first quarter, reflecting swings in net exports that were likely driven by businesses bringing in imports ahead of potential tariffs. This unusual swing complicated GDP measurement last quarter. Private domestic final purchases, or PDFP, which excludes net exports, inventory investment, and government spending, grew at a solid 3% rate in the first quarter, the same as last year's pace. Within PDFP, growth of consumer spending moderated, while investment in equipment and intangibles rebounded from weakness in the fourth quarter. Surveys of households and businesses, however, report a sharp decline in sentiment and elevated uncertainty about the economic outlook, largely reflecting trade policy concerns. It remains to be seen how these developments might affect future spending and investment. In the labor market, conditions have remained solid. Payroll job gains averaged 155,000 per month over the past 3 months. The unemployment rate at 4.2% remains low and has stayed in a narrow range for the past year. Wage growth has continued to moderate while still outpacing inflation. Overall, a wide set of indicators suggest that conditions in the labor market are broadly in balance and consistent with maximum employment. The labor market is not a source of significant inflationary pressures. Inflation has eased significantly from its highs in mid-2022, but remains somewhat elevated relative to our 2% longer-run goal. Total PCE prices rose 2.3% over the 12 months ending in March. Excluding the volatile food and energy categories, core PCE prices rose 2.6%. Near-term measures of inflation expectations have moved up, as reflected in both market and survey-based measures. Survey respondents, including consumers, businesses, and professional forecasters, point to tariffs as the driving factor. Beyond the next year or so, however, most measures of longer-term expectations remain consistent with our 2% inflation goal. Our monetary policy actions are guided by our dual mandate to promote maximum employment and stable prices for the American people. At today's meeting, the committee decided to maintain the target range for the federal funds rate at 4.25% to 4.5% and to continue reducing the size of the balance sheet. The new administration is in the process of implementing substantial policy changes in 4 distinct areas: trade, immigration, fiscal policy, and regulation. The tariff increases announced so far have been significantly larger than anticipated. All of these policies are still evolving, however, and their effects on the economy remain highly uncertain. As economic conditions evolve, we'll continue to determine the appropriate stance of monetary policy based on the incoming data, the outlook, and the balance of risks. If the large increases in tariffs that have been announced are sustained, they're likely to generate a rise in inflation, a slowdown in economic growth, and an increase in unemployment. The effects on inflation could be short-lived, reflecting a one-time shift in the price level. It is also possible that the inflationary effects could instead be more persistent. Avoiding that outcome will depend on the size of the tariff effects, on how long it takes for them to pass through fully into prices, and ultimately on keeping longer-term inflation expectations well anchored. Our obligation is to keep longer-term inflation expectations well anchored and to prevent a one-time increase in the price level from becoming an ongoing inflation problem. As we act to meet that obligation, we'll balance our maximum employment and price stability mandates, keeping in mind that without price stability, we cannot achieve the long periods of strong labor market conditions that benefit all Americans. We may find ourselves in the challenging scenario in which our dual mandate goals are in tension. If that were to occur, we would consider how far the economy is from each goal and the potentially different time horizons over which those respective gaps would be anticipated to close. For the time being, we're well positioned to wait for greater clarity before considering any adjustments to our policy stance. At this meeting, the committee continued its discussions as part of our 5-year review of our monetary policy framework. We focused on inflation dynamics and the implications for our monetary policy strategy. Our review includes outreach and public events involving a wide range of parties, including Fed Listens events around the country and a research conference next week. Throughout this process, we're open to new ideas and critical feedback, and we will take on board lessons of the last 5 years in determining our findings. We intend to wrap up the review by late summer. The Fed has been assigned 2 goals for monetary policy: maximum employment and stable prices. We remain committed to supporting maximum employment, bringing inflation sustainably to our 2% goal, and keeping longer-term inflation expectations well anchored. Our success in delivering on these goals matters to all Americans. We understand that our actions affect communities, families, and businesses across the country. Everything we do is in service to our public mission. We at the Fed will do everything we can to achieve our maximum employment and price stability goals. Thank you. I look forward to your questions.
Steve Leisman, CNBC. Thank you, Mr. Chairman, for taking my question. A lot has happened since the last meeting. There's been tariffs put on, tariffs taken off, and meanwhile, there's a bill advancing in Congress. And I just wonder if I could press you on the last part of your statement. Are you any closer now to deciding which side of the mandate is going to need urgent care first?
Well, so as we noted in our statement, post-meeting statement, we've judged that the risks to higher employment and higher inflation have both risen. And this, by the way, of course, is compared to March. So that's what we can say. I don't think we can say, which way this will shake out. I think there's a great deal of uncertainty about, for example, where tariff policies are going to settle out. And also, when they do settle out, what will be the implications for the economy, for growth, and for employment? I think it's too early to know that. So, ultimately, we think our policy rate is in a good place to stay as we await further clarity on tariffs and ultimately their implications for the economy.
Hearing you describe what you're looking for in terms of being able to make a decision, it sounded like that's a long-term process before you sound like you're going to be comfortable, or the committee would be comfortable to act on what the data is telling you.
I don't think we know. I think, if you look where we are today, we have an economy that, if you look through, the sort of distortions in Q1 GDP, you've still got an economy that looks like it's growing at a solid pace. The labor market appears to be solid. Inflation is running just a bit above 2%. So it's an economy that's been resilient and is in good shape. And our policy is sort of modestly or moderately restrictive. It's 100 basis points less restrictive than it was last fall. And so we think that leaves us in a good place to wait and see. We don't think we need to be in a hurry. We think we can be patient. We're going to be watching the data. The data may move quickly or slowly, but we do think we're in a good position where we are to let things evolve and become clearer in terms of what should be the monetary policy response.
Nick.
Nick Timmeros of the Wall Street Journal. Chair Powell, there's naturally a lot of PTSD around 2021 supply shocks. But there are some who argue that the current situation has notable differences. Energy costs are down. Housing imbalances look nothing like they did 4 years ago. Labor demand appears to be gradually cooling, with wage growth running below 4%. What do you see right now that could nourish higher inflation beyond a rise in goods prices this year?
I think the underlying inflation picture is good. It's what you see, which is now running a bit above 2%. And we've had basically decent readings in housing services and non-housing services, which is a big part of it. So that part, I think, is moving along well. But there's just so much that we don't know. I think, and we're in a good position to wait and see, is the thing. We don't have to be in a hurry. The economy has been resilient and is doing fairly well. Our policy is well positioned. The costs of waiting to see further are fairly low, we think. So that's what we're doing. And, we'll see. The administration is entering into negotiations with many countries over tariffs. We'll know more with each week and month that goes by where tariffs are going to land, and we'll know what the effects will be when we start to see those things. So we think we'll be learning. I can't tell you how long it will take, but for now it does seem like it's a fairly clear decision for us to wait and see and watch.
So when you say that you don't need to be in a hurry, does that mean that could the outlook change in such a way that a change in your stance could be warranted as soon as your next meeting?
As I said, we are comfortable with our policy stance. We think we're in the right place to wait and see how things evolve. We don't feel like we need to be in a hurry. We feel like it's appropriate to be patient. And when things develop, of course, we have a record of we can move quickly when that's appropriate. But we think right now the appropriate thing to do is to wait and see how things evolve. There's so much uncertainty. If you talk to businesses or market participants or forecasters, everyone is just waiting to see how developments play out, and then we'll be able to make a better assessment of what the appropriate path for monetary policy is. So we're not in that place, and as that develops, and I can't really give you a time frame on that.
Janelle Marte with Bloomberg. So many economists have been pricing in higher odds of a recession, and several are noting that it is more difficult for the Fed to cut rates preemptively given the higher risks for higher inflation. So given the outlook, do you still see a path for a soft landing, and what does that look like?
Well, let me say, so let's look back and see where we are. So go through 2024 up to the day. We've had unemployment in the low 4s for more than a year. We've had inflation coming down now in the mid to low 2s. We've had an economy growing at 2.5%. So that is the economy as we see it now. What looks likely, given the scope and scale of the tariffs, is that we will see certainly the risks to higher inflation, higher unemployment have increased. And if that's what we do see, if the tariffs are ultimately put in place at those levels, which we don't know, then we won't see further progress toward our goals. We might see a delay in that. I think in our thinking we never do anything but keep achieving those goals. But we would, at least for the next, let's say, year, we would not be making progress toward those goals. Again, if that's the way the tariffs shake out. The thing is, we don't know that. There's so much uncertainty about the scale, scope, timing, and persistence of the tariffs. So that's that. In terms of preemption, I think.
All right, so you guys have spoken. So the Federal Reserve has decided they are not going to lower interest rates. Maybe that, and some of you guys had noticed, maybe that's why President Trump had that look on his face, and maybe that's why he was so abrupt at the conference today. He's probably sick to his stomach going, everything I turn, it doesn't matter what we do, these people are going to fight us every step of the way. And, lowering the interest rates would help so many Americans. It just drives me crazy that they don't see that you're hurting the people who need it most. It was funny. I saw this, and if the interest rate drops, Barry will be really rich and makes it easier to buy real estate. I don't think you bought much real estate. In buying real estate for an investment, shut up. The interest rates are pretty much agnostic. So what's going to happen with here is more people may end up getting in trouble. More people may have to sell. More people may find who are just waiting and saying, listen, if my interest rate goes down and I get the tax cuts and I get all this stuff, then it's going to be more affordable for people who have to rely on conventional mortgages to buy properties. That's where the difference is. Most people who have to buy a house have to go through a mortgage company or a bank. And because they have to do that, now this is what Jerome Powell is controlling. You're going to pay this much for your mortgage. People who buy stuff as an investment, we don't have to do that. And so at this point, it actually, and I've said it before, doesn't matter whether the market is up or down. If you know what you're doing, you will profit accordingly. This is what hurts the average person that's trying to buy a house or a car or your credit card. This is the everyday American that was hoping for a little relief, even this much, and they said, nope, you don't get nothing. So their next meeting isn't until August, and then they'll sit and they'll probably do the same thing. Nah, we're just going to stay where it is. So you get until August before he thinks about doing anything. And then some people think, and President Trump has said or intimated that he would fire Jerome Powell, which is nearly impossible. It is almost impossible to fire Jerome Powell. He could approach him and say, I need you to resign, and Jerome Powell could say, go pound sand. But it's a huge hurdle to try and fire this guy. So you're stuck with him for the most part. So that is what it is. Yeah, his term expires in 2026, so he's going to be there for at least another year. Minus around Jerome Powell, he would bite his ankle. Yeah, he would. Why can't he fire him? The Federal Reserve is not a government agency, which shocks some people. They're their own entity, and we could have an entire show about the Federal Reserve and how are these people who aren't even part of the government controlling the flow of money? How did we ever set that up? Who set that up? That's a whole different conversation. If you dug into, you would get really, really pissed off. Really pissed off on who controls the money for America, and how is it that it's not a government agency? You know, they made it sound really good. They called it the Federal Reserve. And they made it sound like it was part of the United States government. And most people don't realize, nope, they're a private entity. So all the money supply that the United States borrows and that you get your mortgage from, you get your car loan from, you get your credit cards from, all the people who have to borrow money are borrowing it from a private entity that is not part of the government. How many of you knew that? That's scary. That's very, very scary. Start to think it's all one bird with different wings. Yeah. I don't know if the Fed was controlled by the Vatican at one point, but you can look it up. You can begin looking. You want to dig into what is the Federal Reserve and how did it start, and why is it there? Why isn't it part of the government? Can we dissolve it? Put it into government? It's crazy. It's out, and people don't really question it for some reason. Somebody said I looked it up on Grok. What did Grok tell you? I missed it. People ain't ready to hear the Titanic didn't hit an iceberg. Oops. Oh, see, now you're going into some real 17th letter stuff. But she wrote right there, people ain't ready to hear that the Titanic didn't hit an iceberg. If you know, you know. Yeah. Question everything. I said it earlier. Some people got pissed off. Question everything. It's scary. Yeah. Can he shut down the Fed? I don't know. I have to look that up. But again, the Fed, you go ahead and look at go back into all that and how it was started. And like that, what the woman said about, check out the Titanic and the story that people have told about it. Yeah. Remember the Titanic and who was on it, people. Mm-hmm. So anyway, I think that's why President, I have no idea, but you guys picked up on it. His demeanor today, he wasn't the same. He was very short, very curt. Only took like two or three comments from the press and like, I'm out of here. He's pissed off. We needed this. There's no reason why you couldn't have lowered it even a quarter of a point. But nope, you just want to stick it to him. Continue to stick it to him. And like BLS Doom Crew said, and I believe it's true, that President Trump appointed Jerome Powell. Yeah, another Pence type thing. These people get in there and whatever. If this put me in a mood, I'm ready to rumble. Oh, we'll have some fun tonight. We're going to have some fun again tonight. If you guys, I'm glad you brought that up. If you guys haven't joined me on the night show, now what I do is I do some news in the beginning, and then we just go off into having some fun and entertainment. Actually, I started with some entertainment, then I'll do some news, then we finish it with some entertainment. So we got some stuff happening tonight, too. No interviews or anything. We're just gonna talk. I've got some different stuff. I should have that Kash Patel hearing, and also there's a Doge hearing going on, so I'm going to download those and we can talk about them. But let's finish a couple clips I got. This thing with Scott Bissett. Look, this guy.
Complying with security protocols. Mr. Secretary, you're a smart guy. You're a smart guy. You didn't create this situation. You were drawn into it. I'm just trying to reassure the committee that this stuff is not happening anymore.
Gentleman's time has expired.
Allow the gentleman to answer. Be a yes or no.
I think the gentleman's time has expired.
Well, Congressman, I'm happy to say that because of my age, I pick up the phone and call people.
There you go.
Gentleman's time has expired. The gentleman from Georgia.
Now, just want to let you know, those guys weren't even the worst ones. Oh, we got okay, this one's a very short one with Congressman Cuball.
Mr. Secretary, do you support an exemption to tariffs on items that parents need to care for their kids? Yes or no?
Congressman, what you're referring to are...
Yes or no?
What you're referring to are...
I'm reclaiming my time because I don't want you to filibuster or give me some macroeconomic answer. Families at home are hurting and so just give me a direct answer.
I'm going to agree with you.
So yes, should you support an exemption on tariffs for products that are essential for families for their babies?
Exemptions on E4 items, which...
I'm sorry, I have to reclaim my time. I'm reclaiming my time. Mr. Chair, I am reclaiming my time. Give me my time back. I'm reclaiming my time. I just want a simple yes or no. Do you support an exemption to tariffs on...
I don't understand who these people think they are and how they talk to people. He even said, I agree with you. And it still wasn't good enough. She still wanted to just go off on him. They're not interested in answers. They're interested in playing roles out there.
Items that parents need to care for their kids. Because you all claim you're pro-family. I cannot hear the words you say because I see the things that you do every day. So clear it up. Yes or no? Do you support an exemption to tariffs on items that parents need to care for their babies?
It is under consideration.
Right. Good. I don't know what's stopping an exemption from going into effect today, so do it now.
How about you? Kiss my behind? What do you mean, do it now? Wow, man. These are people in our government. This kind of insanity is what our government is at this point. And I think you just need to see this so you can see how these people treat people. It's insane. Absolutely insane. Then he did it to Kristi Noem as well.
I'd like to now focus on U.S. citizens who were deported. In fact, 3 children so far, likely more children. One of those children with cancer who was deported without the medication necessary to address that child's cancer. Again, a U.S. citizen. The lawyers have said that they were not given, the family was not given an opportunity to make plans for the kids. And so they were deported, essentially, again, U.S. citizens. I have a question about the forms that ICE is supposed to utilize when engaging with parents who have children, the parents who are being deported and the U.S. citizen children. One of those forms is ICE Form 71-078, or the Caregiver Designation at Arrest form. Were any of the individuals who were deported, who had U.S. citizen children deported with them, were they given an opportunity to sign that form?
When these, the specific cases that you're referencing with these children, it was the parents' choice to take their children.
And did ICE
which it is
follow through on the policy
to keep families together?
Ma'am, reclaiming my time. I told you at the top of this, ma'am, reclaiming my time. I said that the questions are really simple, yes or no. Was that form used in any of those cases?
I will get back to you on that specific form.
Perfect.
I don't know the number, but I do know these mothers went on the record.
The second form, ma'am, reclaiming my time. Ma'am, please, ma'am, reclaiming my time. I'd like you to avoid the filibuster so I can get to all my questions, please.
Answering your question.
I blame, at this point, the Republicans are in charge. they should be passing rules and say this reclaiming my time crap has got to end. If you ask a question, the person should be able to answer the question and then telling them yes or no, like it's some sort of gotcha thing. Like, that doesn't work. It doesn't work whatsoever. We're all adults. You're not going to treat me like I'm in some sort of court of law. Yes or no? No, then. I'm not going to answer you. I don't understand what they're trying to do. It doesn't play well anymore. Even Pete Buttigieg came out today and said, yeah, everything they're doing is not what Americans are buying anymore.
And so the second ICE form that I'd like to ask, where is the evidence of the failure of FEMA?
Congresswoman, we still have...
Maybe you should have flown to North Carolina? You don't see that there's, quote, any evidence of FEMA's failure? And again, let's play her for a second. I want to show you something.
Claims open from Hurricane Katrina. We have fire claims that are still unpaid to people who said they were due them 7 to 8 to 10 years old. They have never been paid by FEMA. So one of the worst things that the federal government can do is to stand up in front of the American public and say, we will be there, we will walk alongside you in the most horrible time of your life, and then never follow through on it. Well, what the president has said is he's sick and tired of federal agencies that pick and choose who wins and who loses. He wants to make sure that the federal government's commitment, when it makes a commitment, that it follows through. So he's going to empower states.
The federal government is abdicating.
Okay. This woman, Rose DeLauro, is a congressperson from Connecticut. And you can just see by her visual there that she's one of those people. She's got the new glasses. She's got the purple hair. Cat lady for sure. And she actually just said, where's the evidence that FEMA has failed? And Kristi Noem, to her credit, it's like, you can go all the way back to Katrina. The amount of these people and how their level of being obtuse is insane. It's like they never leave the bubble of what do you... These people in North Carolina were sleeping in tents. The people in Maui still haven't rebuilt. The people in California, they don't even know when they're going to be able to rebuild. How does she not know this? How does she not know that just the ones in our recent memory, North Carolina, Maui, and California, how do you just not even think of those? And think to yourself, oh, they're still looking at, they haven't even cleared their lots, some of it's just dirt? Yeah. Didn't the President of the United States fly out there and meet with Karen Bass and said that people are going to have the... I should revisit that. I should get that video and pull it out so we can watch it all over again, because she said it'll be done this week. And I think that was in February. And he knew it. He knew it. He called her out as lying. So you're going to tell me these people right now, they're going to be able to rebuild their houses quickly? Oh, yeah, for sure. Yeah, FEMA's coming in. We're going to take it. Nothing. And they have no idea when these people can rebuild their houses.
Its commitment to the American people who find
themselves... It did,
themselves...
certainly under Joe Biden's administration. Now President Trump's going to make
Let me
sure
just say this
that
to you. The
communities are
Office
ready
of
for
Professional
disasters.
Responsibility. The Office of Professional... Because I knew you were going to go there. As you know, FEMA's Office of Professional Responsibility. Under the Biden administration, there was no evidence, no direction or agency or field leadership to discriminate against disaster victims based on political affiliation, which was a charge.
These people must get dressed in the dark, because there can be no mirror. Because if there was a mirror, you would see that you're completely lying to people. There's no evidence. Someone should just find out wherever this woman lives and take like a backhoe and just bring all kinds of debris and just drop it on her lawn. Here's your flipping evidence. Here are the caskets floating down the stream when the river overflowed. Here's the debris left over from my burned up house in Maui or my burned up house in California. Here it is right here. Take a trip down to Louisiana. Look at what happened with Katrina. Notice, we're not talking, she is talking about FEMA, the agency. It doesn't work for whatever reason. And I don't know why you would die on that hill. You want to basically die on the hill of an agency that's not working?
Follow up with you.
Well, and I will follow up. I will follow up, and I'll follow up with my colleagues, quite frankly, and to really listen to people whose states, communities have been devastated, and what role FEMA has played. I don't know how many millions and millions of dollars went out in Louisiana. Actually, I've asked my staff to calculate that when Katrina hit. And the response was overwhelming. And the response has been overwhelming. If you want to make corrections, that's fine. We all agree with that.
Yeah, we can point to thousands and thousands of
Well, if you wouldn't mind getting this committee, the information and the evidence where you talk about the dysfunction of the agency and where it has really failed. That would be important to those of us who are appropriating dollars.
I'm pretty sure. When did Katrina happen? I'm gonna have to look that up. When did Katrina happen? Because maybe she forgot it. Let me just look that up. Hurricane Katrina. What year was that? Because you guys can look along. So Hurricane Katrina happened in August of 2005. So 20 years ago. 20 years ago was Hurricane Katrina. And she doesn't remember the catastrophic failure then, and then just add all of the catastrophic failures since Katrina. Over and over and over. You know, the good thing, well, not the good thing, but one of the good things about the Florida government down here and Ron DeSantis and what they've done is we get hurricanes, and you never hear much in the news about, oh my God, people sleeping in tents. Oh, it's not working. Oh, nope. You don't really hear much. Oh, they rebuild roads really quickly. They get people the money that they need. Go ahead. Rebuild your property. Do you remember? It hit the west coast of Florida. Just the recent hurricanes that came through. Drive up there. Drive up there and see what's going on. The people who haven't already rebuilt are in the process of rebuilding. Because they don't have to rely on FEMA. Otherwise, they'd know they'd never get their properties done. It's insane.
Right of individuals. Do you believe that the Constitution grants everyone in our country the right to due process, including non-citizens?
The administration has the authority to.
Ma'am, I'm looking for a yes or no question. Yes or no. Do you believe the Constitution? Yes, ma'am. Do you?
We have not conducted
reclaiming my time, Mr. Chairman.
Time is yours.
Okay. Secretary Noem, I'm just looking for a yes or no here. Do you believe the Constitution guarantees due process to everyone in America?
Due process.
I've never seen this woman before. I have no idea who she is. I've never come across her before in my life. And she's badgering Kristi Noem. Just completely badgering. And they're all about this due process stuff, which tonight I'm going to dig into because I got something that's really going to upset these people for sure.
Process is exactly what this Congress lays out.
Yes or no? Okay, ma'am, I'll take that as a no.
On due process.
Excuse me, I'm trying to ascertain your understanding of the law as it applies to your department. And you as its leader should be able to give us a yes or no answer because judge after judge has ruled that the law is not being followed. Do you believe that the U.S. government has the authority to deport American citizens?
No, and we are not deporting U.S. citizens.
I'm so happy to hear that you do not believe that the law gives you that authority because the federal government has no authority under U.S. laws to deport any American citizen. And as I know, everyone viewing this hearing today knows that several American citizens have been deported to date.
That is
Secretary.
Everyone knows? Let me know if you know of any American citizens that have been deported. Because she said everyone. Everyone knows. You know? I have no idea what the hell she's talking about. American citizens have been deported. She calling the Maryland man a citizen? Or she conflating the whole kids thing where mom said, I want to take the kids with me? What American citizens? You're just rattling off, going as fast as you can, hoping that you can get these words out that nobody can question you on. Because Kristi Noem's trying to tell her, no, we haven't. But she don't want to hear it.
No, that was not a question. Secretary Noem, that oath that we both swore before taking office was to protect and defend the Constitution of the United States.
My concern is on the tariffs. Who pays tariffs?
We're in trouble. And last time I said, I think this country is screwed if we don't fix it. And somebody said, well, God is here to take care of things. Depending on what your beliefs are. Me personally, yes, I do believe God can solve anything and we can pray for it. But this is really, really bad. This government right now with these people in it, they hate America. They completely hate America. That you can see, they despise her. They despise Scott Bessent. They despise President Trump. It's not I don't disagree with you and we can hang out and have a beer. I hate your guts. And I hate you maggots. You people who wear the red hats and everything. There's nothing redeeming about us to them. How do you even talk to people when they treat you like you're scum? That's why I felt for quite some time now that we are actually in a civil war, because when you get to the point where there is no discussion, where there's no negotiation, I hate your guts. That's what they're telling us.
Mr. Secretary? No. Answer the questions I asked, please. I only have 5 minutes. Who pays tariffs?
Sorry? Well,
who pays tariffs? Sorry, Mr. Secretary, please.
Excuse me.
The question is very simply, who pays tariffs, Mr. Chairman? I'd like him to answer that question.
You won't let
He wants to answer other questions.
Well, Congressman, if the exporters, they dislike tariffs so much, why wouldn't they? If I think what you're trying to get me to say.
Did you remember the question? I'm not sure you did. Who pays tariffs?
It's a very complicated question.
Reclaiming my time. People pay tariffs, right? Reclaiming my time, Mr. Secretary. Reclaiming my time, Mr. Secretary. Reclaiming my time. You clearly aren't going to answer. I'm not going to waste my time having you go, Mr. Secretary, Mr. Chairman, I asked reclaiming my time.
Tariffs.
Mr. Chairman. And I asked to reclaim my time. Did I not? No, I said reclaiming my time because he's clearly not answering it.
The dude wouldn't even let him answer. I don't get it. Unbelievable. I do have some breaking news for you, if you care. There is no new pope. The black smoke came out today. They had their conclave. And their first round of voting, they couldn't come to a conclusion, so we have black smoke, and they will not be voting again till tomorrow. So if you're interested in finding out about the papacy and what's going on, there will be more coming out really soon, but right now it's black smoke. So I just want to let you know, in about, or maybe it did, maybe it already happened. So I want to play this for you because by the time we sign off, it may be actually up. I want you to hear this. It's what I started the show with, and some people kind of got upset with me because I was like, they thought I was dissing Pam Bondi, and I'm like, I'm not dissing her. I just said we need to get some questions answered. So let me let you hear this because this is interesting. This could be quite interesting. It's only 1 minute of a clip here, but I want you guys to check this out.
James O'Keefe texted me just about 10 minutes ago, and he said they're dropping the first big piece of, I don't know which exact story he's releasing today. Get a pretty good idea from the little trailer he put out. It's got Pam Bondi on it. But again, I want to be clear. I don't have the specifics. He didn't give me the specifics. And it's going to be obviously a story we're going to be covering when it comes out here on air. So please stay with us for that. I think he said 3 p.m. Say 3 p.m. Eastern. So we'll be on air. He said 3 p.m. today. I wonder if he's talking about Eastern or Central. Probably Eastern. So Yeah, fourth hour today. So as soon as it comes out, we'll have it. We'll be on it.
So I don't know what it is, and I'm not going to speculate. There's no way that I can tell you what it is. But in any event, we will be going ahead. I will cover it tonight as soon as it comes out, as soon as we have an idea as to what this may be. I'm just going to end like that. I'm not going to make any suppositions. If it's a video, I can't wait to play it, because obviously I can't play it on YouTube anyway. They hate James O'Keefe. If you say anything about James O'Keefe, they completely freak out. They start hitting buttons and everything. So we'll see it tonight in the evening show, and we'll take it from there. We'll see what this is, if it's anything. Maybe it's a bunch of crap. Maybe all of you will say, yeah, it's no big deal. And we can hope for the best. But in any event, that's what that's all about. Let me, before I dismiss myself and get out of here and go eat some lunch, I want to talk to you guys about Patriot Addict and the berry pack that they've put together. Oh, no, they've got something else for me. All right, so this is a little bit different. So I'm looking at it for the first time myself. This is really cool. It says Patriot Addict is back with another collector's bundle for you called the Berry Pack, which you guys have been seeing. It includes the Trump knife right here. It's been including the, where's my Trump hat that I put on? The Trump sequel hat. It's this one here. And it includes the blanket, which you see here. Now, wait till you hear this. Don't go anywhere, because you think, oh, I've heard this already, Barry. No, you haven't heard what I'm about to tell you. Where's the Donald Trump part? Let me just keep turning it until I get there. President Donald Trump. All right, so here's where it's different. Here's what they got going different. It says, before you even know what's in this pack, which I just told you, which is the hat, the knife, I think they're still doing the watch. Let me see if they're doing the watch. Combat knife, the blanket. Yep, the Trump watch is in it. Listen closely, all right? You ready for this? This is new. This is something they haven't done before. It says, they are going to do, it says, this might involve a $100 Amazon gift card, but I'll explain in a second. Ready for this? Get all this. There's no shipping charges, no gimmicks. You can just click the QR code. Normally the bundle would cost you around $238 if you bought all these items separately, but together, now it's $79. You remember I told you yesterday, buy it for $69. It was going to go up. Well, it's up. It's $79. So I strongly recommend you jump on it before it goes up again. But here's the big new thing they're doing. And I'm seeing it for the first time myself here. They're going to give away $100 Amazon gift cards to 5 people. And this only applies to anyone who orders the Berry Pack today. I'll be picking the 5 lucky winners live on my next stream. That'll be tonight. So if you want a chance to win, this is your shot. So it's $79 for the Berry Pack, which you can get on the QR code here. But we're going to pick 5 winners from those buyers who are going to get a $100 Amazon card. Yeah, I like that. So go ahead and scan the QR code on the screen right over here, or go to berrypack.com now to claim your bundle and secure yours. This is pretty cool. So tonight, it's from what they're telling me here, and let me just tell you, because people complain all the time. It's me, it's Robin, and it's Ashley. There's no whole huge staff here. I'm going through these Bibles, I'm shipping things, and Miss Outspoken, she's like, am I ever going to get my thing? Yes, I'm doing 2 shows a day. I usually get to shipping things on Saturday and Sunday. This past Saturday and Sunday, I was out of town. So chill. But what I'm saying is, tonight, they're going to give away 5 $100 Amazon gift cards to people who buy the Berry Pack. I'm saying right now, let's make it 10. They'll do 5, I'll do 5. Let's do 10 $100 Amazon gift cards to people who buy the berry pack right over here. So I'm going to have to get with them and find out who purchases. Ashley, if you're still on right now, make sure you tell them we're going to do 10. I'm going to pay for 5 myself, and then they're going to give people 5 as well. So let's get that done today, and you guys will have the berry pack yourself. Sound like a deal? So everybody else who's waiting for stuff, everyone has their hoodies. If you're waiting for your Bibles, Robin and I ship them out. I'm sorry, they're free. We don't have a staff. We didn't hire anybody to do that. We're doing it ourselves. Like I said, normally Saturday and Sunday, I sit down with Robin. We get out and we do all the giveaway things we have to do, and we work through the names and we get something out. And this past weekend, it was a no-go because we were out, doing things. The Air and Sea show, and then we had did we meet Ashley this weekend? I think that was this weekend. Yeah, we were just doing all kinds of stuff. So anyway, we're going to get back into the shipping this weekend. Today's Wednesday, so today's Tuesday. Tell you, days all just run together. But anyway, go ahead and get that gift card. So let me do this. Let me do super chats so you guys can see that. And tonight we'll do, let's see, we're getting out of here early, so it's 3 o'clock. Yeah, we'll do 7. We won't do 7:30 tonight. We'll do 7, and then we can go from there. A lot of good stuff to go over tonight. Let's see here. Okay, let me just get my screens ready, and here we go. We're ready to go. Boom. All right. Tim Allred, the investigation took longer than 5 days. A sting only took 5 days, Barry. Okay. When did it start? Just asking. Like I said, I've talked to a lot of law enforcement guys. When did it start? 200 people were arrested. 115 people were liberated. When did it start? How long does it take to put an investigation like that together? And then understand, you can go back and see the day she was confirmed. And you tell me if that size of an investigation could be done in that period of time. I'm just asking a question. Look forward to hearing the answers. Knucklehead, Perry, move on. Useless rant, that was earlier. Illustrate Life, Pam Bondi dropped charges against Southwest Key Program, a charity who managed an unaccompanied minor accused of SA. What do you think? Somebody blabbed is what I think. I think somebody gave somebody up. Victoria Winston, Kash and Pam look sick to me. They had to arrest cops. Yeah, it sucks. Sorak, is it possible my uncle is a police and PR, took down 455 people with other FBI and police in 3 days? They've been investigated way longer than that, but they wanted to make sure they capture everybody. Okay. Good question here by Mountain Goddess. Where does the Federal Reserve get their money? Look that up. Lady Trucker, stop paying your taxes. Some people who are in a position to stop paying their taxes, I'm sure, aren't going to do it. Sorak, and I can show you proof. Sometimes we need to wait even if you know what's going on so they don't escape. Then you arrest everybody at the same time. I don't need proof. But if you want to answer their questions, then it's fine. I mean, Tommy Radcliffe, these children born of newcomers are in question, and 77 million say so. I was nearly killed falling 53 feet deep, permanently partially disabled, survived 3 major hurricanes and couldn't get meds or FEMA. I survived. A failure. Donna, FEMA failed us in Asheville with Hurricane Helene. They were MIA or stealing our supplies. They would be happy to confront this old hag about FEMA. Yep, I know that for a fact because we had Robin's relatives. If it wasn't for, Samaritan's Purse, it would never have happened. In terms of getting your place fixed up. Solrex, she can't take questions on press conference because it will mess up the operation. It's better not to say more, and I think Epstein file is something to do with it. Well, we shall see shortly. We'll definitely see. So if James O'Keefe is ready to drop something, I'm sure Well, you know what? The thing with James O'Keefe is that whatever comes from that, there will be people who don't listen, don't want to hear it, and there'll be people who will be frothing at the mouth. Either way, but let's definitely talk about it for sure. All right, so I am done for the afternoon show. See you guys at 7, and let me play the after party. Thank you guys for tuning in, and we could all tell that there was something wrong with President Trump. Things didn't look right. With everything getting canceled, and you think he was going to answer a lot of questions, and nope, he was pissed. And now we know why. All right, talk to you guys tonight at 7 o'clock. Hope you guys have a good afternoon.
Thank you.